Chapter 844. After thinking for a long time, he came up with a strategy. Since they couldn't develop it and didn't want to give it to other countries for free, they wouldn't say anything for the time being. The territory near Tianjin mountain range was rich in spirit energy. It was a piece of juicy meat for any power. In the future, Beiyuan Xiuxin would know that the territory of Tianjin mountain range belonged to the Yan kingdom in name. The Yan kingdom didn't have to touch these places, but would other countries dare to snatch things from Wang Daoyuan? If they wanted to develop the land around Tianjin mountain range, they had to give the Yan kingdom benefits. These territories could be rented, sold, and exchanged. They couldn't just give it away for free. It wasn't a bad idea to use things that couldn't be used to exchange for good things that could increase the strength of the family. Of course, it was best to rent it to other countries. They could still get some benefits by keeping the ownership of the territory. No one deliberately concealed the fact that the human race and the demon race had reached an agreement. After all, the humans had benefited greatly, so there was no need to hide it. Soon the news spread. Wang Mingchen and Wang Shui heard the news and came. Once they entered the hall, Wang Mingchen cupped his hands and asked, "Father, I've heard about the agreement between the humans and demons. Our Wang family doesn't have so many people to look after so many spirit veins. How should we deal with the territories that we got? Father, please tell me." Wang Daoyuan didn't answer directly. Instead, he had the intention to test Wang Mingchen. The territories west of Tianjin mountain range are all under the jurisdiction of the Yan kingdom. 100,000 miles north of Huiyin mountain and east of Xing country are also our Yan kingdom's territories. With such a large territory, it's impossible for our Wang clan to manage it all. In your opinion, how should we deal with it? Wang Mingchen thought for a moment and answered, Tianjin mountain range is a piece of juicy meat. Our Yan kingdom's foundation is still shallow, so it's impossible to swallow this piece of juicy meat. If we don't eat this piece of juicy meat, it's inevitable that people will think about it. Rather than that, why don't we use these territories to exchange for benefits with other countries? Our Wang family is the foundation of the Yan kingdom. Our family's businesses are all concentrated in Qingli River. Therefore, we have to expand the territory of Qingli County. The territories to the east of Qingli Prefecture were also within the Qingli Prefecture. They should all be merged into Qingli County and be under the jurisdiction of the imperial court. Shanbei should be under the jurisdiction of several counties. The place far away from Mount Huiyin was not suitable for humans to live in, but it could be given to the half-beasts who had surrendered. As for how these prefectures should be set up, I haven't thought about it yet. Wang Daoyuan nodded. It's not bad that you can think of this in such a short time. 12th uncle, what are you going to do with these territories? Wang Shui smiled and said, I think that Mingchen is right. We can only swallow the territory to the north of the Wanchuan River from the west side of the sky/mountain range. In the south, it was better to exchange benefits with other countries to avoid being hated by others. The eastern part of Qingli Prefecture should indeed be incorporated into Qingli Prefecture. The territories north of Huiyin Mountain and within the Sky Beheading Mountain range were also very valuable. In my opinion, we should just set up a prefecture and let our Wang clan's disciples be the prefectural governors. Let's lay a foundation there first. In the future, it will be more convenient for us to make a move on Zijinchuan. 2 or 3 counties could be set up within 10,000 miles north of Mount Huiyin, which would be used to settle down the rogue cultivators who sought refuge with the imperial court. This place was 10,000 miles wide from north to south and 400,000 miles from east to west. There were thousands of level 2 spirit veins. Apart from some important spirit veins and industries, the rest could be used to buy people's hearts. Tens of thousands of miles north of Mount Huiyin, apart from a few large oases such as the Starfall Plain, the rest of the oases were of little value. We could split it into mini prefectures to settle down the half-demons. If the leaders of the half-demon tribes could break through to Yuanying, they could be appointed as prefectural governors. Also, Zhong Jinyang and the rest could set up a prefecture in the Nether King River Basin and let them do whatever they wanted. They could also restrain the half-demons and prevent them from having any other thoughts. In this way, the ones facing the extreme Frost Plains demons would be the half-demons and Zhong Jinyang and the rest. Even if the demons attacked, our Yan country's direct descendants would not be easily harmed. Of course, we have to prevent the half-demons and Zhong Jinyang from colluding with each other and not listening to the imperial court's orders. As for how to divide the territories, we need to study it carefully. Wang Daoyuan smiled. Mingchen, did you see that? The older, the wiser. Learn more from your 12th uncle. By the way, what is third brother doing? He doesn't hold a position in the imperial court or manage the family's affairs. I haven't seen him show up in the years I've been back. He has been managing the family for hundreds of years and is very experienced. Now that the Yan country's territory has expanded, there are too many things to manage. It would be a waste if we don't bring him out. Wang Shui shook his head. What else can he do? According to the records in the essence of God art, he wants to comprehend a God art. He has been in seclusion in the Green Willow secret realm. Mingchen and I have asked him to come out many times but he refused. It seems that third brother really wants to be one of the pillars of the family. Unfortunately, his efforts were used in the wrong place. Comprehending a minor divine ability isn't something that can be cultivated in seclusion. Back then I also paid a huge price. In the end, I was lucky enough to have some enlightenment when I fought Gu Qingfeng. It's not wise for me to ask him to come out and waste time on minor god arts. As soon as he finished speaking, a jade talisman that Wang Mingchen carried with him emitted spiritual power fluctuations. He checked it and said, "Father, 12th uncle, 3rd uncle has heard about the peace talks between the human race and the demon race. He has already left the Green Willow secret realm and is coming here." Hearing this, Wang Shui smiled and said, "With Dao Chang's help, I can also relax and strive to cultivate to the peak of the Golden Core realm as soon as possible and break through the Yuanying realm." Not long after, Wang Daochang came to the main hall where the three of them were. As soon as he came in, he said excitedly, "Seventh brother, you are really amazing this time." When 5th uncle was still the patriarch, he set the strategy of a cunning rabbit having 3 burrows. For more than 300 years, we have been working hard to develop the Heaven/Mountain range. Now, the entire Heaven/Mountain range has become our family's private property. I didn't want to take care of things, but now that the Yan country has such a large territory, the current manpower shouldn't be enough. Mingchen, 3rd uncle wants to beg for a living under you. Give him an official position. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "3rd brother, it's good that you are willing to come out. With you and the 12th uncle assisting Mingchen, I don't need to take care of these government affairs. It's better to improve my cultivation as soon as possible. With my current strength, it's difficult to deal with several demon kings at the same time. Now that the Yan country has such a big piece of meat, many people are thinking about it. My cultivation is higher so I can deter them." Wang Shui smiled and said, "Don't worry. With Dao Chang and me assisting, it's more than enough to govern the Yan country." Wang Daoyuan returned to the underground cave abode under the Jade Spring and continued to cultivate. He wanted to improve his cultivation to the late stage of the Yuanying realm as soon as possible. However, before he could cultivate for a month, someone came to visit him. This person was an old acquaintance. It was the minister of the Zhao state, Zhao Jinghua. He came with a big scheme. Wang Mingchen, the 12th uncle, and the 3rd brother didn't dare to make the decision. Wang Daoyuan had to come out personally. Zhao Jinghua came on behalf of the Zhao Emperor. The Zhao Emperor wanted to exchange or buy the territory south of the Wanchuan River and the Sky-Beheading Mountain Range. This territory wasn't small. In addition to the eastern part of Linchuan County, there was also the Wanlong Mountain that spanned 4 counties south of the Zhao state. The Wanlong Mountain Range was a remnant of the Sky-Beheading Mountain Range. It was more than 100,000 miles long from east to west and nearly 50,000 miles wide from north to south. South of the Wanlong Mountain Range was the territory of the Song and Qi states. The Zhao Emperor had a big appetite, but the Zhao family's teeth weren't very good. The Qi and Song states in the south were old aristocrats of the Zhou state. Their ancestors were Yuanying cultivators. Now that they had a level 5 spirit vein, Yuanying cultivators would soon appear again. If the Zhao state didn't have Yuanying cultivators, it would be difficult for them to make a name for themselves even if they obtained the Wanlong Mountain Range. However, he didn't need to worry about the Zhao family. This was the first business deal. Let's do it first. Chapter 845. Wang Daoyuan came to the imperial hall of Qingli City. Wang Mingchen, 12th uncle and 3rd brother were already there to receive Zhao Jinghua. Seeing him arrive, Zhao Jinghua bowed and said, "Greetings, Yan country's retired emperor." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and said, "No need to be so polite. I heard that Emperor Zhao wants the territory in the Sky-Beheading Mountain Range. What are your plans?" Zhao Jinghua replied, "Under Emperor Zhao's orders, I want to buy the territory east of Linchuan County and part of Wanlong Mountain from Yan country. I hope that retired emperor and his majesty will allow it." Zhao country was a bit interesting. They only wanted part of Wanlong Mountain to avoid the border with Song and Qi. Currently, Zhao country and Song country only had the border of Wuqing Pass in name. There was also the 6th prince's small imperial court between them. The 6th prince was already over 900 years old, and there weren't any outstanding figures among his descendants. When he died, Jinan Kingdom would fall into the hands of Thousand Spirit Sect. At that time there would be an unavoidable war. Wang Daoyuan originally wanted to sell these places. If Zhao country wanted to buy it, there would be no problem. With Yan country's current strength, there was no need to care about Zhao country and Song country. No matter who won or lost, they would not dare to have any ideas about Yan country. Selling these places is not a problem. How much of Wanlong Mountain does Emperor Zhao want, and how much? Hearing this, Zhao Jinghua's face revealed joy. Wang Daoyuan asked this, which meant that he agreed. As long as Zhao country gave a suitable price, this business was done. Emperor Zhao wants the 10,000-mile-wide area east of Linchuan County and the northernmost part of Wanlong Mountain. As for the price, Zhao country is willing to exchange Linhai County. Although there are fewer spirit veins and minerals in Linhai County, the territory is much bigger. Moreover, Linhai County is located at the mouth of the Wanchuan River. The territory will continue to expand. Hunting demonic beasts is also very convenient. The value of demonic beast materials is not lower than minerals. Zhao country's talents have withered. All kinds of minerals have been destroyed by the Three Sects rebellion. They can't take out anything good. If retired emperor and his majesty are not satisfied with this price, we can only buy less land. This price was indeed not bad. Linhai Prefecture was formed by the Wanchuan River and was mainly composed of plains. The entire Linhai Prefecture was in the shape of an irregular triangle. It was over 50,000 li from east to west, and had an average width of 30,000 li from north to south. Its area was equivalent to 3 to 4 times that of the original Qingli Prefecture. In addition, after the Wanchuan River reached the lower reaches, it divided into many smaller channels. The spiritual energy in the river was comparable to that of a third-grade spiritual vein or a fourth-grade spiritual vein. Although the river delta was extremely lacking in minerals, with the nourishment of the river, more than half of the land in Linhai Prefecture could be developed into spiritual fields. With so many spiritual fields developed, the number of cultivators that could be fed would be at least a few million. As Linhai State continued to expand, there would be more and more places that could be developed into spirit fields. Of course, in order to develop these spiritual fields, they would need a huge amount of manpower. The 13 families of Linhai had occupied Linhai Prefecture for tens of thousands of years, but the amount of spiritual land they had developed was far less than that of Guangyuan Prefecture in the Zhao country. With the growth rate of the Wang clan's cultivators, it would take at least 10,000 years for them to develop the entire Linhai state. Of course, this was just an ordinary method. Wang Daoyuan could make puppets and had enough materials. He could have his doppelganger make large amounts of puppets in the space of the Ling bead. Puppets had many functions. In theory, they could do all the work that humans could do. But forging, making seals and the like used up too much spiritual energy. Puppet's spiritual energy was very weak and could not last long. The work of a Ling plant farmer did not use up much spiritual energy and could be done continuously. Puppets did not need to cultivate. With the supply of energy from the Ling gathering bead, they did not need to recover spiritual energy. One Ling plant farmer puppet could take the place of 3 or 4 Ling plant farmers. The method of making low-level puppets could also be taught to the forgers of the clan. It would take 30 to 40 years to develop an excellent Ling plant farmer. Low-level forgers would only need a few months to make a Ling plant farmer puppet. It would not take long to train him to do simple work. Wang Daoyuan thought for a moment and said, "I am very satisfied with the Zhao Emperor's price. Let's follow this price." But there are 13 Linhai families in Linhai State that have all been conferred nobility by the state of Zhao. There is also the Linhai Duke. How should we deal with these large families? Zhao Jinghua cupped his hands and said, "The Zhao Emperor has also considered this matter. Those families all have fiefs in Linchuan County. If they are willing to abandon Linhai State, they will all move to Linchuan County. If they abandon Linhai State, they will split their families into 2. The portion with nobility will move to Zhao. The portion that stays in Linhai State will be a normal family and will be managed by the state of Yan. In addition, the Linhai Duke's fief will also be moved to the west of Sky Beheading Mountain Range. We still want to leave a portion of our people in Linhai State. Now that Zhao is in decline, if Yuanian cultivators appear in Song, they could attack at any time. The Zhao Emperor wants to leave a way out for his family in Linhai Prefecture. I ask the retired Emperor and your Majesty to approve." This was human nature. Song was an old noble family. Although their inheritance was not very good, they had produced Yuanian cultivators and had a level 5 legacy magic artifact. Although Song Yan's cultivation talent was not as good as the Zhao Emperor's and Zhao Jinghua's, his chances of breaking through were very high. With Song Yan's character, once he broke through to the Yuanying realm, he would definitely attack Zhao again. That is not a problem. It is also good to leave more people in Linhai state. If everyone leaves, it will take a lot of effort for the state of Yen to develop Linhai state. I agree with the Zhao Emperor's proposal. You can just send someone to Mingchen. Zhao Jinghua bowed and said, "Many thanks for your permission, Your Majesty. I have another matter to discuss with Your Majesty. I heard Your Majesty went out to sea for several decades and found ruins left behind by ancient cultivators. Not only did you cultivate to the Yuanying realm, but you also obtained many Yuanying inheritances and level 5 treasures. The ancestors of Zhao were rogue cultivators. Although they obtained the inheritances of ancient cultivators, those ancient cultivators were only at the peak of Golden Core. Although they had part of the Yuanying inheritances, they did not have a level 5 magic tool to resist the Yuanying tribulation. The Zhao Emperor wants to use the Blooming Water Divine Lightning to ask Your Majesty to upgrade the ancestral seal of mountains and rivers to a level 5 magic tool." Wang Daoyuan had seen the seal of mountains and rivers before. Although it was a peak level 4 magic tool, it was not an ordinary item. This item was refined by Emperor Wu of Zhao in the past and was fused with the essence of spirit veins in Zhao state. In Emperor Wu's era, there were level 5 magic tool refining materials. The materials used to refine the seal of mountains and rivers were low-grade level 5 magic tools. However, Emperor Wu of Zhao's refining skills were not good enough and could only refine it into a level 4 magic tool. After more than 10,000 years of nurturing by the successive Zhao emperors, the magic tool's power was not much worse than a low-grade level 5 magic tool. If it could be refined into a level 5 magic tool, it would not be difficult to resist 5 Yuanying tribulations. As for the Blooming Water Divine Lightning, its value was very high. Although he had broken through to the Yuanying state, the power of a casual attack was far superior to the Blooming Water Divine Lightning. However, for cultivators below the Yuanying state, the power of the Blooming Water Divine Lightning was still very terrifying. He still had the incomplete Earth Divine Lightning and Fire Divine Lightning in his hands. With the Yuanying cultivators' control of the laws, it was not difficult to deduce level 4 magic tools. Although it might not be the same as the original version, the power would not be too different. The Zhao clan could deduce the Blooming Water Lightning Sword based on the Blooming Water Divine Lightning. The Wang clan could also deduce more cultivation methods and magic tools in the future. Wang Daoyuan nodded. "I have seen the seal of mountains and rivers. The material is indeed good. It will not be a problem to refine it into a level 5 magic tool. However, I have a condition. The seal of mountains and rivers has been fused with various level 4 spirit veins in Zhao state, including many spirit veins in Yen state. I do not want my own spirit veins to be affected by others." Zhao Jinghua hurriedly cupped his hands and said, "Don't worry, retired emperor. After Yen state was established, His Majesty removed the spirit veins in Yen state from the seal of mountains and rivers. Now, only the spirit veins in Linhai state are left in the seal of mountains and rivers." Chapter 846. After the fall of Zhao country, the people in power were very good at handling matters. Zhao country's strength was no longer enough to threaten Yen country, and there were no conflicts between the two countries. If he continued to leave the spirit veins in Yen country's territory in the seal of mountains and rivers, it would only make Yen country's emperor and officials feel uncomfortable. If he removed these spirit veins in time, the seal of mountains and rivers would not have much power. Wang Daoyuan nodded and said, "I don't have any urgent matters now and I can start refining at any time. But let me tell you in advance, a level 5 magic tool needs to be forged with the inner pattern. Therefore this seal of mountains and rivers needs to be forged again, and the results of the previous nurturing may be damaged. It's better to restore the materials of the seal of mountains and rivers to level 5 first. When it's forged again, the spirit veins inside and the spiritual power of the materials will not be affected too much." Zhao Jinghua cupped his hands and said, "Thank you, retired emperor. Yen country can send people to hand over the land of Linhai state at any time. I'll go back and report to Emperor Zhao. Goodbye." After that he left the hall. Wang Shui and Wang Daochang sent him out of the palace gate. After the two came back, Wang Daochang couldn't hide the excitement on his face. "Seventh brother, you really have great foresight. The strategy of a crafty rabbit having 3 burrows has really come true now." Wang Daoyuan shook his head. "Now there's no difference between 3 burrows and 30 burrows. Everyone knows where our property is and there's no place to hide. If we want to leave a backup plan, it's still Zijinchuan. We just reached an agreement with the demon race, and it's not suitable to touch Zijinchuan now. Let's wait. As long as I'm still in Beiyuan Xiuxian, no one will dare to have any ideas about our Wang family. However, with Linhai State, our Wang family will have unlimited space to expand in the future. Although there are few islands in the depths of the East Sea, we can always find some places to stay. Wang Shui was also happy. Zhao country's Gui water divine thunder is also good. If we can learn it, our family's Fu Hai art will have one more way to fight the enemy. Wang Mingchen thought for a while and asked, Father, who will guard Linhai State? Such a large piece of land with extremely high value required a person of virtue and prestige to manage. Furthermore, Linhai State was east of the heavenly/mountain range and close to the sea. There were many kinds of demonic beasts. If not for the Yuanying battle force holding the fort, I'm afraid there would be a lot of demonic beasts harassing us. This was indeed a problem. Yuanying did not lack battle prowess. Puppets and doppelgangers were all fine. However, there had to be someone to manage the affairs of Linhai Prefecture. Otherwise, how could there be any talk of ruling? In this aspect, clones and puppets were not very suitable. I'll summon the Black Ice Tortoise back to guard Linhai Prefecture. After the handover, he would think about who would be in charge of Linhai Prefecture. Take care of the handover of Linhai Province. At this moment, Wang Jian walked in from the outside. He was already at the middle stage of the Gold Core realm. Moreover, his spiritual energy fluctuations were not very stable. He should have just broken through not long ago. As soon as I came out of seclusion, I heard that the clan has expanded its territory by quite a bit. It should be lacking manpower. In any case, I've been the patriarch for over 100 years. Managing affairs isn't a problem for me. There are many clansmen cultivating in the Green Willow region. I don't need to manage them. If there's anything else you need, feel free to arrange it for me. Wang Shui said, since you need someone to manage the daily affairs of Linhai Prefecture, why don't you let fifth uncle go? With the Black Ice Tortoise guarding, there's no need to worry about anyone causing trouble. Hearing this, he was a little confused. Aren't only the Sky Beheading Mountain Range and the North Mountain Range our Wang clan's territory? How come Linhai Prefecture is also ours? Wang Mingchen explained this matter, and Wang Jian immediately became interested. That's not bad. Leave Linhai Prefecture to me. We've just negotiated peace with the demon race. The 5th-ranked demon beasts won't come looking for trouble now. With the 5th-ranked mid-grade Black Ice Tortoise guarding, there's no need to be afraid of the 4th-ranked demon beasts courting death. There's nothing to be afraid of in Linhai Prefecture. Wang Daoyuan also took out a 5th-rank low-grade close combat puppet. Fifth uncle, with this puppet, even if there's a 4th-ranked demon who doesn't know what's good for him, he can easily deal with it. After discussing these matters, Wang Daoyuan returned to Jade Spring Peak. There was no need for him to manage the handover. After only a month, the handover over in Linhai Prefecture was completed. Of the 13 families in Linhai, only the Gu clan's Gu Qingfeng and Lord Linhai's second son, 2 golden core cultivators remained. The other 11 families were weak to begin with, and only had 1 golden core cultivator. There were also 2 families whose only golden core cultivators had died when the Zhao clan revived the country. Now there were no golden core cultivators. The risk in Linhai Prefecture was too great. For the powerful families, it was a good place to establish their foundation. But for the weak clans, it was a place of death. They only left behind a small number of clansmen. Most of them migrated to the fief west of the Sky Beheading Mountain Range. Now that there were only 3 golden core factions in Linhai Prefecture, there was no need to divide it into 13 counties. Instead, it was divided into 3 counties. The area close to the sea, including the mouth of the river, was called Linhai County. East of Linhai County, with the Wanchuan River as the boundary, was divided into 2 counties, the South County and the North County. The 3 counties were about the same size, but the mouth of the Wanchuan River was in Linhai County. In the future, Linhai County would continue to expand. As the Linhai Prefecture overseer, Wang Jian was in charge of the 3 counties. The governor of the South County was Zhao Qinglang, the second son of the Lord of Linhai, and the governor of the North County was Gu Qingfeng. After the land was designated, the Wang clan began to migrate 100 cultivators and 50,000 mortals to Linhai Prefecture to spread their influence. Now that the Wang clan had more than 1 million mortals, 50,000 mortals were nothing. The demons of the West Sea didn't make any moves. Before Wang Daoyuan could recall the Black Ice Tortoise, Daoist Shantian sent it over. With it overseeing Linhai Prefecture, there was nothing to be afraid of. The Zhao clan also reacted quickly. Zhao Jingwa sent the Seal of Mountains and Rivers to the Jade Spring Peak. When he saw Wang Daoyuan, Zhao Jingwa cupped his hands and said, "The spirit vein origin of Linhai Prefecture and the Seal of Mountains and Rivers has been removed. However, the materials used to refine the seal of mountains and rivers haven't been nourished by level 5 spirit chi for tens of thousands of years. They won't be able to reach level 5 in a short time. It seemed that the Zhao clan was really anxious. Zhou Luan also sent news that there were movements in Song. It was most likely that Song Yan was preparing to break through to the Yuanying realm. Once that madman succeeded, and Zhao didn't have any Yuanying cultivators who could match him, Song would definitely attack Zhao again. It's fine. The seal of mountains and rivers materials used to be level 5. It won't be a problem to refine level 5 low-grade magic artifacts now. It's just that the spirit vein origin in the seal of mountains and rivers and the results of 10,000 years of refinement will be affected. Zhao Jinghua hurriedly said, "It's fine to lose some spirit vein origin. I wonder how long the retired emperor will take to refine it. I'm sure you know that Song Yan is restless. I'm worried that he'll come looking for trouble again if it's too late." The seal of mountains and rivers wasn't a complicated magic artifact. It wouldn't take much effort to reforge it. The main thing was that it needed to be nurtured in the crafting cauldron for a long time after it was completed. However, with the spirit pearl space, this amount of time didn't matter. 10 days at least, a month at most. Zhao Jinghua was overjoyed and took out a storage bag. The seal of mountains and rivers and the refining method are all in here, as well as the Gui water divine thunder. There are also some leftover scraps from refining the seal of mountains and rivers. I don't know if they'll be useful, so I put them all here. Wang Daoyuan took the storage bag. Minister Zhong Jingqing, please go to Qingli City to rest first. I'll send you a message when the refining is done. Zhao Jinghua took his leave. Wang Daoyuan returned to his underground cave residence and took out 2 thin animal skin books from the storage bag. They were respectively the refining method for the Gui water divine thunder and the refining method for the seal of mountains and rivers. Wang Daoyuan looked at the contents of the Gui water divine thunder. Sure enough, the 4th level of the Gui water divine thunder involved the true meaning of thunder. When using the Gui water divine thunder, one needed to take into account both thunder and water attributes. Thunder was the most masculine and yang, while water was the most feminine and yin. Wang Daoyuan deeply admired 5 Thunder True Lords methods for combining the two together without any conflict. Chapter 847. As a Yuanying cultivator, Wang Daoyuan had a deeper understanding of the laws. After deducing the entire spell, he felt that the 10th water divine thunder should be based on the water attribute laws, with the lightning attribute laws as a supplement. What the 10th water divine thunder was good at was not explosive damage, but quietly infiltrating the enemy's weak points, and then releasing its power. It was a sneaky method. He had fought side by side with the Zhao family, and had also fought with the Zhao family who used the 10th water divine thunder. The group of hotheads who used the 10th water divine thunder mainly used the lightning attribute laws, and walked the hard and fierce path. It was obvious that Emperor Wu Zhao had gone astray when he cultivated the Gui water divine thunder. He was also a rogue cultivator, and accidentally received the inheritance of an ancient cultivator, and no one to guide him, so it was not strange that he went astray. However, the Zhao Wudi brothers' talent was not bad, and they used this astray 10th water divine thunder to make a name for themselves. Using this as a foundation, they created the 10th water thunder sword, a move with stronger lethality. Going astray did not mean going astray. There were many ways to cultivate, and there was no absolute right or wrong. Water was also divided into yin and yang. Yin was silently moisturizing, water droplets penetrating stone. For example, Yulu and the water of the well were 10th water. Yang was stormy waves, splitting mountains and stones, majestic momentum like the water of rivers, lakes and seas, was 9th water. The people of the Zhao family had cultivated the blooming water divine lightning to the point that it had the aura of raging waves. This should be called 9th water divine thunder. Although it deviated from the original meaning of the 10th water divine thunder, it was a lucky hit, and had another mystery. 9th water divine thunder's power was very strong, but it also had its flaws. This point was the same as other water attribute spells. It needed the support of extremely strong spiritual power. Cultivators with poor talent, using the 9th water divine thunder, would not be able to produce much power. Zhao family's 10th water thunder sword, in a generation only a few people could cultivate it, and it was most likely related to the astray path. The 10th water thunder sword was more ferocious, and the demand for spiritual power was higher. People who did not have excellent talent, cultivating the 10th water thunder sword, could not display enough power. And the real 10th water divine thunder, although the power was weaker, it was easy to cultivate and was more suitable for sneak attacks. Wang Daoyuan could deduce both sides of the two water thunder arts. The 9 water divine lightning was specially given to clansmen with exceptional talent to cultivate, while the 12 water divine lightning could be given to clansmen with average talent to cultivate. The most important thing now was to reforge the seal of mountains and rivers. He took out a 9-inch square white jade seal from his storage pouch. The seal was a true dragon. The seal of the great Zhao's emperor was engraved on the bottom of the seal, and the mountains and rivers of the state of Zhao were engraved on the side. He took out another beast skin book, which recorded the refining method of the seal of mountains and rivers. This was the refining method for a Tier 4 magic tool. If he wanted to upgrade it to Tier 5, he would have to deduce it himself. Yuanying entered the space of the spirit orb and began to deduce the refining method. He had quite a number of artifact forging inheritances in his possession, so it did not take much effort to deduce the level 4 artifact forging method to level 5. In less than a year's time, he managed to deduce the refining method for the 5th stage seal of mountains and rivers. Only 4 days had passed in the outside world. Yuanying returned to her body and began to reforge the seal of mountains and rivers. Because the seal of mountains and rivers was made of jade, she could not directly smash it with a hammer. She had to try her best to preserve the results of dozens of generations of nurturing and could not reforge it. Wang Daoyuan erased the original artifact inscriptions and channeled his spirit energy into the interior of the artifact seal, slowly inscribing the artifact inscriptions. After toiling for 5 days, she finally finished refining it. Then she placed it into the weapon refining cauldron and stored it in the space of the spirit orb. 3 days later, more than 200 days had passed in the space of the spirit orb, and the seal of mountains and rivers was completed. Wang Daoyuan took out the seal of mountains and rivers. After injecting his spirit energy, the seal of mountains and rivers exploded with an earth-shattering aura. Benefiting from the spirit vein origin and 10,000 years of refinement, the power of the seal of mountains and rivers was still extremely strong. It should be able to surpass most lower-grade level 5 artifacts. Resisting Yuanying's heavenly tribulation was just a piece of cake. After being nurtured in the weapon refining cauldron for such a long time, the grade of the artifact seal of mountains and rivers had already recovered to lower grade level 5. Wang Daoyuan sent a message to Zhao Jinghua, telling him that the seal of mountains and rivers had been upgraded to level 5. Half an hour later, he arrived at the Jade Spring Peak from Clear Glass City. Wang Daoyuan took out the seal of mountains and rivers and a beast skin book. The seal of mountains and rivers has been refined. Also, I have deduced the refining method to level 5. In addition, your Zhao clan's blooming water divine lightning has gone astray. When your Zhao clan has a Yuanying cultivator, you will naturally understand. Right now, the Zhao clan's path is unconventional, but its power is not bad. There are no problems. Regardless of whether it was Emperor Zhao or Zhao Jinghua who had successfully formed their nascent souls, they could all see the problem with the blooming water divine lightning. Now that he had pointed it out, it could be considered a favor. Zhao Jinghua was somewhat astonished. After a moment of daze, he received the seal of mountains and rivers and the beast skin book. Many thanks for the advice, retired emperor. The entire Zhao clan will remember it. After repeatedly expressing his thanks, he left the Jade Spring Peak and returned to the capital of Zhao, Longyu City. Wang Daoyuan was not in a hurry to cultivate the blooming water divine lightning. Instead, he continued to raise his cultivation. A year later, news came from Zhao that Zhao Jinghua had successfully formed his nascent soul. Not long after, news came from Song that the Song Emperor, Song Yan, had also successfully formed his nascent soul. In Zhao, Wang Shui personally went to congratulate them. Wang Daoyuan also asked him to bring 10 nascent cultivating pills and 29 death soul returning pills. The appearance of level 5 spirit chi in Beiyuan Xiuxin was too recent. Even the top factions had not been able to cultivate level 5 spirit fields. Even if they still had the seeds to refine the nascent cultivating pills, it would still take 2,000 to 3,000 years to harvest. These pills were also rare treasures for a cultivator who had just entered Yuanying. As for Song, it did not have a good relationship with Yen. Song Yan's Yuanying ceremony did not invite Yen, so there was naturally no need for them to send gifts. After cultivating on the Jade Spring Peak for 7 years, Wang Daoyuan's body shone with a purple-gold light. As time passed, the purple-gold light did not fade. Instead, it became more and more dazzling. Even the underground cave's array formation could not hide this light. At the top of the Jade Spring Peak, the purple-gold light began to appear. In the cave, Wang Daoyuan's Yuanying appeared above his head. The 7-inch tall Yuanying was constantly absorbing spiritual power to strengthen itself. It finally grew to a height of 9.5 inches before stopping. The purple-gold light slowly faded and soon returned to normal. The Yuanying's small face was full of smiles. It could not even open its eyes. It played on the top of his head for a while before disappearing into his body. Wang Daoyuan woke up and sensed his cultivation. It took me more than 30 years and more than 100 nascent cultivating pills. I also extracted a lot of spiritual power from the lava and the space of the spirit pearl. I finally broke through to the late stage of Yuanying. With my current strength, I shouldn't need to use Yinglong's demon-slaying sword to kill the Grand Demon King. Unfortunately, these guys did not show up. After consolidating his cultivation for 2 days, the spirit vein in the space of the spirit pearl had also risen to superior grade level 5. The 5 spiritual fires had absorbed a lot of gifts from heaven and earth. The special energy was replenished and its grade gradually caught up. The life spiritual fire's seed fire had already broken through to superior grade level 5. The red sun true fire seed fire was only a step away from superior grade level 5. The other 3 seed fires were also middle grade level 5. The mutant arowana's cultivation had also reached the peak of level 3. Apart from the reverse scale on its throat, the arowana's entire body was as black as ink and emitted a strong yin energy. Its body had grown to more than 3 feet long, and 2 forked dragon horns had grown on its head. Its head was half fish and half dragon. It would probably need to break through to level 4 before its head could completely turn into a dragon. Wang Daoyuan also fed it a lot of jade dragon algae, but its cultivation showed no signs of breaking through. Yun Yi and the soul-chasing bee king were also at the peak of level 3. They had no intention of breaking through. On the other hand, Blackie's cultivation was on the verge of breaking through. All these years, it had been eating the beast blood-strengthening pills refined from the blood essence of ancient beasts. The effects were still very obvious. When Blackie broke through, it would be a good time for Yun Yi and the others to absorb some gifts from heaven and earth. It was also beneficial for them to break through. Chapter 848. After breaking through to the late stage of Yuanying, if he wanted to break through to the peak stage of Yuanying, not only would he need more resources and spirit energy, he would also need to have a better understanding of the laws. The time required would be much longer than breaking through to the late stage of Yuanying. Cultivating it would not be of much use for the time being. Since he had obtained the 10th water divine thunder, a technique that he had dreamed of in his early years, he naturally had to study it well. Back then he had cultivated the earth divine lightning to the 4th level. Now that he was cultivating the 10th water divine lightning, he had some foundation. With his late stage Yuanying cultivation, it was not difficult for him to cultivate a peak stage of the 4th level. In just 5 days he had cultivated the 10th water divine lightning to the 9th level. He cultivated the 10th water divine lightning. He was not good at facing enemies head-on, but he was good at attacking from behind. He used water spirit energy to condense a spirit energy ball with a diameter of 3 inches. This spirit energy ball was almost colorless and transparent. If he was not prepared in advance, it would be hard to see with the naked eye. In addition, his water spirit energy had the effect of blocking divine sense with the 10th water death flame. If he fought on the sea, he could also hide the 10th water divine lightning underwater. Without special abilities or secret techniques, it would be very difficult to discover this method. He threw the 10th water divine lightning in his hand at a rock with a diameter of 1 foot in the cave. The entire 10th water divine lightning directly penetrated into the rock. In an instant, the rock split into 2 halves, and the inside was shattered into pieces. Wang Daoyuan was very satisfied with this result. The water element was good at penetrating. Whether it was a human or a demon, the weakest part was always the internal organs. This 10th water divine lightning could penetrate into the cracks of the rock. Naturally, it could also penetrate into the bodies of humans and demon beasts. By concentrating all the power on the opponent's weakest point, the lethality would naturally be very strong. Especially when facing an opponent with strong defense, the 10th water divine lightning would be very effective. Then he followed the Zhao family's train of thought and deduced the 9 water divine lightning, and cultivated it to the 9th level. This time he did not dare to use it in the underground cave. Instead he came to the sky-beheading mountain range. He found a relatively spacious area and cast the 9 divine lightning of water on the small hill. After a muffled sound, the top of the hill instantly disappeared. The burst of water spirit energy swept over a radius of 300 miles. If there was a golden core cultivator in this area, they would be seriously injured. Of course, the 9 divine lightning was still a peak 4th tier spell. The power displayed was naturally inferior to genuine 5th tier spells, but it was still quite impressive. From the cultivation method, It could be seen that each of the 5 elements divine lightning had its own characteristics. The first 6 levels should be more or less the same. They only imitated the might of lightning and did not involve the application of laws. The last 3 levels corresponded to the Golden Core realm. Although Golden Core cultivators could not control the laws, they still had to imitate them. The 5 elemental divine lightning was a combination of the 5 elemental laws and the lightning elemental laws. Different elemental laws would naturally produce different lightning techniques. The 9 divine lightning of water pursued explosive and destructive power, while the explosive power of water could only be accumulated by quantity. If he wanted more power, he would have to consume more spiritual energy. The Zhao family's innate talent was still pretty good. Wanting to overcome the natural flaw of the unconventional sword, they created the blooming water thunder sword. This move, the combination of the thunder technique and the Tao of sword cultivation, greatly increased the power. The Wang family did not have the inheritance of combining the thunder technique and the sword cultivation technique. Wang Daoyuan himself did not need this thing, nor did he have the time to deduce this thing. Seeing this blooming water divine lightning, Wang Daoyuan thought of the 5-colored flame bead that appeared at the end of the Yuanying heavenly tribulation. Before it appeared, he could contend with the divine ability tribulation. Once it appeared, all his means were instantly broken through. Wang Daoyuan had always wanted to create this kind of spell, but he never had a clue and did not know how to start. Now that he had cultivated the blooming water divine lightning, Wang Daoyuan suddenly had some ideas. The thunder technique was similar to the power of the heavenly tribulation. If he could find all the 5 elements divine lightning, he could deduce it to the 5th level. Then he could think of a way to fuse the 5 elements divine lightning. Maybe he could reproduce the power of the 5-colored flame bead. First, he could deduce the blooming water divine lightning to the 5th level. The fire divine lightning and earth divine lightning could also be repaired according to his own ideas. As for the metal divine lightning and wood divine lightning, in the 70,000-year history of Beiyuan Xiuxin, there had never been a cultivator who had used this method. The 5 elements divine lightning was deduced by the 5 elements divine monarch using his own divine ability. The 5 elements divine lightning were connected and should be able to cooperate with each other. Even if there was a fragment, using the blooming water divine lightning as a reference, the deduced things would be more or less the same, and the connection between them would still be there. If there was no fragment to point the way and he deduced from nothing, the difference would be huge. The possibility of fusing the 5 elements divine lightning was next to zero. After seeing the power of the blooming water divine lightning and the 9th water divine lightning, Wang Daoyuan came to the easternmost part of Fallen Dragon Ridge. Just as he landed, the thunder ape leaped over. This fellow's cultivation was also stuck at the peak of the 3rd level. After all, it was not a pure horned thunder ape. If it wanted to break through, it would be restricted by the black ape bloodline in its body. It extended a hand to Wang Daoyuan. Naturally, Wang Daoyuan knew what it meant and took out a jar of 100-fruit wine. This 100-fruit wine's wine formula was obtained from the thunder ape's inherited memories. Seeing this thing, the thunder ape's eyes went wide. It hurriedly snatched the wine jar and opened it to drink a few mouthfuls. Its face revealed an intoxicated expression, and it sealed the wine jar again. This was unprecedented. In the past, when the thunder ape obtained wine, it would drink it all in one gulp. Now it actually stopped after drinking a little. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "No need to be so frugal. You break through to the 4th level as soon as possible and help me comprehend lightning attribute laws. I'll give you more 100-fruit wine." With the thunder ape's current bloodline concentration, breaking through to the 4th level might very likely awaken a lesser divine ability. Lesser divine abilities were the elementary utilization of laws in the first place. One could comprehend lightning laws from it. Rank 5 spells and cultivation methods all needed to be combined with laws. Wanting to deduce the 5 elements divine lightning to the 5th level, one must comprehend lightning attribute laws. Laws were still different from verve and true intent. Verve and true intent were also derived from laws. Just like the Azure Dragon's verve, this was something formed by the fusion of many kinds of laws grasped by the dragon race. It had already undergone a qualitative change and had similarities with laws, but there were also huge differences. Rank 5 spells could have no verve, but they must have laws. Of course, with both, the power was even more powerful. As a pentaspirit root cultivator, Wang Daoyuan had already comprehended the 5 elements laws. Improving the 5 elements divine lightning was easy, but when it involved the 3 attributes, it was more strenuous. Although he fused fire and would attribute spirit chi into lightning attribute spirit chi, it also contained a trace of lightning laws. Under the premise of not having a lightning attribute spirit root, it was not easy to rely on spirit chi to comprehend laws. The original 5 elements divine lightning was only at the peak of the 4th level. Perhaps it was because lightning laws were not easy to comprehend. If there was a lightning attribute Yuanian cultivator or a lightning attribute cultivator with lesser divine abilities, it would be much easier to comprehend lightning laws. Master needed to guard the southern wasteland, and his younger brother was cultivating in seclusion. Moreover, comprehending lightning laws also required a very long time. Who had the time to constantly show him laws? The Thunder Ape was easier to talk to. As long as there was wine, it would do anything. He had stayed here for more than 2 years, serving the Thunder Ape with 100-fruit wine every day. This spirit wine was indeed from its inherited memories. It was extremely beneficial to the Thunder Ape's cultivation. In more than 2 years, it drank more than 300 jugs of 100-year-old 100-fruit wine. This fellow had already fallen into a deep sleep. It seemed like it was about to break through to the 4th level. Wang Daoyuan had been deducing the Earth Divine Lightning and Fire Divine Lightning for more than 2 years. Because repairing the incomplete version might be very different from the original version, it still needed to be constantly corrected. After another half a year, the Thunder Ape finally woke up. Not long after it woke up, tribulation clouds began to appear in the sky. Wang Daoyuan gave it some healing pills and a low-grade 4th-level defensive Dharma artifact before retreating far away. The tribulation clouds continued to expand and finally expanded to a diameter of about 25 kilometers. The heavenly might also covered 20 kilometers. Soon, a bolt of lightning fell from the heavenly tribulation. The Thunder Ape's body was also flickering with lightning. It directly endured the tribulation and was actually unharmed. A lightning attribute spirit beast's resistance to heavenly tribulation was really remarkable. The first 6 bolts of tribulation did not affect it much. It only took out a shield to block the 7th bolt of tribulation. After 3 bolts of tribulation, it only lost 2 shields. The Thunder Ape survived the Golden Core tribulation unscathed. The tribulation clouds in the sky did not dissipate. Instead, they were surging violently. After 15 minutes, a giant ape with golden fur and a single horn on its head descended from the tribulation clouds. It was over 30 meters tall. This was the Horned Thunder Ape. The Thunder Ape's bloodline heavenly tribulation had descended. As long as it survived, the Horned Thunder Ape's bloodline in its body would improve greatly. It would also awaken the Horned Thunder Ape's lesser ability to control lightning. Chapter 849. There were many Wang clansmen cultivating in Fallen Dragon Ridge, and one of them was even a Zifu realm cultivator. His name was Wang Tongyuan, and he was the great-great-grandson of Wang Shouhong. He didn't inherit the great ancestor's talent in alchemy, but he wasn't weak in battle. He was very talented and had 2 spirit veins. His main spirit vein was an 8-inch water spirit vein, and he also cultivated the overturned sea art. He was only 150 years old, but he was already at the middle stage of the Zifu realm. He wasn't far from the late stage. At this rate, there was a high chance that he could reach core formation before he was 200 years old. With such talent, the Wang clan could borrow contribution points and cultivate all the way to the golden core stage. The Thunder Ape's breakthrough caused a huge commotion, so Wang Tongyuan naturally came to take a look. Seeing Wang Daoyuan nearby, he hurried over and bowed. "Greetings, 7th great-grandfather." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. "No need to be so polite. Core formation won't be a problem for you. Now you can watch the Thunder Ape's tribulation. It'll be helpful in the future. By the way, what's your Zifu anomaly?" Wang Tongyuan cupped his hands. "My Zifu anomaly is the Deep Sea Ink Flood Dragon." Wang Daoyuan nodded. "That's not bad. It's very suitable for you to cultivate our Wang clan's overturned sea art. You can also cultivate some body tempering techniques in the future. You can discuss this with the clan leader." Wang Daoyuan naturally wanted him to learn the true dragon body tempering art. Any cultivator whose Zifu anomaly was a true dragon or a true dragon was suitable for this technique. The two stopped talking and carefully watched the battle between the Thunder Ape and the Giant Ape. The Thunder Ape didn't cower in the slightest in the face of the 30-meter-tall Giant Ape. Its body instantly grew to 30-meter tall, and it was even taller than the Horned Thunder Ape. The 2 Giant Apes didn't use any fancy techniques. They didn't even use any spells. Their bodies were wrapped in blue lightning-type spiritual energy, and they began to fight in close combat. They didn't even bother to dodge, and each of their punches landed squarely on their opponent's body. As a late Yuanian cultivator, Wang Daoyuan's cultivation was much higher than theirs, so he didn't think they were that strong. Wang Tongyuan felt especially shocked and even a little scared. Wang Daoyuan explained, the Thunder Ape's bloodline is second only to a divine beast. In a battle of the same level, it doesn't lose to a divine beast. This was his bloodline heavenly tribulation, and its power was even stronger than the minor divine ability tribulations of human cultivators. You don't have a special constitution, so you only need to go through 9 heavenly tribulations to form your gold core. Moreover, you can use a tier 4 magic tool to block it and you can pass through it completely unharmed. Wang Tongyuan nodded woodenly and continued to watch the battle between the Thunder Ape and the Giant Ape of Heavenly Tribulation, hoping to learn something from it. The Thunder Ape quickly fell into a disadvantageous position. It could only passively take a beating, and it was difficult for it to effectively counterattack. 15 minutes later, the Thunder Ape's spiritual energy was almost exhausted and it fell to the ground. The Giant Ape of Heavenly Tribulation rode on its body and hit it. The Thunder Ape did not give up. It used its physical strength to burn its blood essence to resist. A quarter of an hour later, the tribulation clouds in the sky stopped rolling, and the Giant Ape could no longer replenish its spiritual energy. It no longer fought the Thunder Ape with its fists and legs. Instead, its entire body floated in the air and was wrapped in dazzling electricity. The Giant Ape turned into a blue ball of light with a diameter of more than 30 meters. Bolts of lightning struck the Thunder Ape's body from the ball of light. After more than 10 bolts of lightning, the Thunder Ape fainted. The blue ball of light formed by the Giant Ape of Heavenly Tribulation did not give up. It smashed towards the Thunder Ape. With a loud boom, the ball of light scattered into countless lightning bolts and swam around the Thunder Ape's body. At this time, the tribulation clouds in the sky had begun to turn golden, and the heavenly might had disappeared. Wang Daoyuan immediately released Yinglong to absorb the remaining electricity on the Thunder Ape's body. Yinglong still looked down on the power of the heavenly tribulation. It reluctantly flew to the Thunder Ape's body and absorbed the lightning bolts that were still swimming around. The Thunder Ape had not drunk the 100-fruit wine for nothing in the past 2 years. Its physical body had been greatly improved. Under the bloodline heavenly tribulation, it still retained a lot of vitality. However, there was not a single strand of white hair left on its body, and a layer of its skin was also burnt. Golden raindrops quickly fell from the sky. The Thunder Ape was nourished by the gifts of heaven and earth, and its vitality rapidly increased. A quarter of an hour later, the Thunder Ape woke up with golden hair all over its body. It opened its mouth and said, "Master, let Tongyuan and Yunyi also absorb some gifts of heaven and earth." Wang Daoyuan was a little surprised. How can you speak human language when you haven't transformed? He did not stay idle. He directly took out Yunyi Dahe the dragonfish, and the soul-chasing bees King Bee. These guys were also very excited when they saw the gifts of heaven and earth. They ran directly into the area covered by the auspicious clouds. Wang Tongyuan did not need to be told and flew over by himself. The Thunder Ape said with a smile, "Apes are the most intelligent of the demon clan. I've eaten a lot of demon soul grass before. This demon soul grass can improve the intelligence of demons. It's not surprising that I can speak. My body shape is similar to that of a human, so I can use magic weapons. Now that I can speak, there's no need for me to go through the tribulation." This made Wang Daoyuan overjoyed. He naturally knew that the demon soul grass could improve the intelligence of demons. However, Wang Daoyuan had never expected that the demon race would be able to speak the human language without undergoing the transformation heavenly tribulation. Dahe and Yunyi had eaten a lot of demon soul grass. After they broke through to the 4th level, there should be hope for them to speak the human language. After Dahe absorbed the gifts of heaven and earth, its spiritual energy fluctuations became stronger and stronger. The spiritual energy fluctuations of Yunyi and the dragonfish also began to change. This was a sign that they were about to break through. An hour later, the gifts of heaven and earth ended. Dahe completely fell into a deep sleep. Yunyi, the dragonfish, and the soul-chasing bees King Bee also showed signs of breaking through. When Dahe broke through, they could absorb some more gifts of heaven and earth. Wang Daoyuan put Dahe and Yunyi into the spiritual pearl and took out a jar of 100-fruit wine. "Thunder Ape, I want to comprehend the law of thunder. Now I can only ask for your help. As long as I can comprehend the law of thunder, there will be plenty of 100-fruit wine." The Thunder Ape took the wine jar and drank a few mouthfuls. "As long as there is wine, you can do whatever you want. Okay, you can attack me with the thunder technique. Show me how much strength you have." The Thunder Ape did not stand on ceremony. It waved its hand and shot out a bolt of lightning. Wang Daoyuan used his divine sense to trap this bolt of lightning and carefully felt the power and laws in it. Then he let this bolt of lightning hit his body. A low-grade 4th-level magical power could not cause any harm to Wang Daoyuan. He used fire and wood spiritual energy to fuse into thunder spiritual energy and used this spiritual energy to imitate the law of thunder in the Thunder Apes technique. The man and the ape would drink some spiritual wine when they were tired. When their spiritual energy recovered, they would continue to fight. After more than a month, Wang Daoyuan mastered the law of thunder. Although using pure thunder attribute techniques would still have the disadvantage of slow speed and insufficient power. However, using the 5 elements divine thunder did not have this problem. The 5 elements divine thunder incorporated a part of the law of thunder into the spells of the 5 elements. It was still mainly based on the law of thunder. After comprehending the law, he left 10 jars of 100-year-old 100-fruit wine to the Thunder Ape and returned to the underground cave of the Jade Spring Peak. Yuaning entered the space of the Spirit Pearl and tried to deduce the 10th water divine thunder to the 5th level. The law of thunder and the law of 5 elements were complete. The rest was not much different from deducing ordinary spells of the 5 elements. It only took a month to deduce the 5th level of the 5 elements divine thunder. He also made some improvements so that there were no obvious flaws. Of course, the spell that had just been deduced definitely had many shortcomings. It still needed to be perfected slowly and gradually improve these shortcomings. He took out the rib bone of a 5th-level demon beast from the space of the Spirit Pearl. The owner of this bone was the Chonggyao. The Chonggyao was also a dignified Chonggyao when he was alive, although he died in an undignified manner. However, for his remains to be the first target of the 5th-level 10th water divine thunder to destroy, it could be considered as helping him to be dignified. Wang Daoyuan condensed a nearly transparent water attribute spiritual energy ball in his hand and inserted it into the rib bone. A dull sound was heard. The surface of the rib bone was not damaged at all. He blew on the rib bone and the bone instantly turned into bone powder. To be able to directly destroy the bones of a low-grade 5th-level ancient beast, not to mention the internal organs, this was definitely a 5th-level technique. Chapter 850. The blooming water divine thunder could be considered as deduced. As for the earth divine thunder and fire divine thunder, there was no rush to deduce them to rank 5 for the time being. It was incomplete in itself. After deducing to rank 4, it still needed to be slowly perfected, making it closer to the original version. Wang Daoyuan wanted to fuse the 5 elements divine thunder into one. If he deduced it himself, it would be too different from the original version. If he wanted to fuse it, it would be impossible. Anyway, he did not lack this method to deal with the enemy. He would postpone this matter for the time being. After deducing, Wang Daoyuan left Jade Spring Peak and rushed to Clear Glass City. Due to the influence of the heavenly/mountain range and the 5 elements essence from before, the spirit chi density of Jade Spring Peak was still rising these few years. Now it was close to the peak of rank 4. The rising momentum of spirit chi did not have any intention of slowing down. Looking at this situation, breaking through to rank 5 was not a problem. After arriving at Clear Glass City, the increase in spirit chi density here was even more obvious. Now it had already reached rank 4 middle grade, almost catching up to Green Willow Mystic Realm. Most of the non-water attribute cultivators in the family previously cultivated in Green Willow Mystic Realm. Now they had all moved to Clear Glass City. After all, in the Mystic Realm, there was no way to directly communicate with the outside world. It might delay things. Now that the grade of Clear Glass City's spirit vein had caught up, it did not delay cultivation. He might as well go into seclusion in Clear Glass City. Clear Glass City was 50 square miles. The space was still very big. Other than the Palace City in the center that was 10 square miles, the other places were all residential areas and markets. The clansmen of the Wang family who held higher positions, as well as cultivators who held an official position in the Yen Kingdom's imperial court, all had their own residences in Clear Glass City. Naturally, it was not a problem for him to cultivate here. Wang Daoyuan came to the imperial study in the palace. Wang Mingchen was handling matters here, and Wang Shui was assisting at the side. Seeing him come, Wang Mingchen immediately stood up and bowed. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and said, "No need to be so polite. I came over for the matter of the blooming water divine thunder." The Zhao family's blooming water divine thunder went astray. They cultivated the blooming water divine thunder that was mainly soft into the 9th water divine thunder that was mainly fierce. Although it was mainly fierce, it also had quite a bit of power. It was just that the requirement for the cultivator's aptitude was extremely high. I deduced both of them. Among them, the blooming water divine lightning was deduced to the 5th level. There's also my cultivation experience inside, so it'll be more convenient for you to cultivate. It's up to the clansman to decide which one to cultivate. Then he took out 2 thin beast skin books and handed them to Wang Shui. Then he took out 2 jade slips and handed them to Wang Mingqian. These are the first 6 levels of the Fire Divine Lightning. The original Fire Divine Thunder only reached the 6th level. I have deduced up to the 9th level, but it is still not mature enough. You've only just reached the late Zifu stage. Training in the first 6 levels should be enough. Wang Shui held the beast skin book and said with a smile, "The Zhao clan has gone astray. If it can have such a strong power, then the real Gui Water Divine Thunder should be even stronger. With this method, I will at least have the battle prowess of a second-rate golden core cultivator." Right, the framework has been set up in Linhai State. Now that the demonic beasts didn't dare to invade, the number of rogue cultivators in Linhai State gradually increased. Guiyin County and Hades County had already been set up in Shanbei. Guiyin County's jurisdiction was to the north of Huiyin Mountain, to the west of the Skyzhan Mountain Range, and to the south of the desert. It's 10,000 miles from north to south and 50,000 miles from east to west. Mingshan is the county governor. The east of the Nether King County is at the border of the Sky/Mountain Range, and the south is adjacent to the Guiyin County. It's also 50,000 miles from east to west and 30,000 miles from north to south. The county governor is Zhong Jinyang. There are very few clans in the Nether King County, and they mainly manage rogue cultivators. Most of them are evil cultivators. Most of the half-demons have moved to the desert oases to the west and north of the Nether King County. They haven't set up a county yet. North of the Huiyin Mountain Range and west of the Sky/Mountain Range, there's an area that's 3,000 to 7,000 miles from east to west and 90,000 miles from north to south. This is the outer area of the Sky/Mountain Range, and there are many rank 4 spirit veins and all kinds of mines. We've discussed before that we'll set up a county here. However, there are no human forces living here. Where should we set up the county city? Wang Daoyuan pondered for a moment and said, "I've already planned this. Now that there's nothing urgent to deal with, we can go to the north of the mountain to find a place to set up the county city. Other than the Sky/Mountain Range, the north of the mountain is still mainly for rogue cultivators and half-demons. After our Wang clan occupies our current territory, we still have to think of a way to occupy the Purple Gold River and use it as a backup for the clan. I'll find a place with a rank 4 spirit vein near the underground cave that leads to the Purple Gold River Valley and set up the clan's property there. We'll move some clansmen there, and when the time is right, we can move some clansmen to the Purple Gold River Valley without attracting any attention. That's right, I haven't really cared about the outside affairs these few years. How are the Zhao and Song clans? Did something big happen in other places?" Wang Mingqian answered, "The Zhao and Song clans each have a Yuanian cultivator. The Zhao clans are far stronger than Song Yan. However, the Zhao clans are weak and they don't dare to expand. They've been developing the territory that they exchanged with us. There aren't any problems in other places except for the Qi, Chu and Wu clans. The demonic beasts haven't done anything either. Even during the spirit energy tide at the Hidden Dragon River a few years ago, no demonic beasts went to cause trouble. The Hidden Dragon River was within Wang Daoyuan's expectations. The Heavenly/Mountain Range already had a rank 5 spirit vein, so the Hidden Dragon River wasn't that attractive anymore. Even if a rank 5 mid-grade spirit vein appeared, there was no need to take the risk. Wang Daoyuan nodded. "Since that's the case, there's nothing else for me to care about. I'll head to the north of the mountain now to find a place to set up a new property." After he finished speaking, he left Qingli City and flew towards the northeast. The underground cave that led to the Purple Gold River Valley was directly east of the Mirror Gem Lake Oasis. It was about 10,000 li away from the Huiyin Mountain. Wang Daoyuan entered the cave and released 10,000 soul-chasing bees to investigate the situation in the cave. He wanted to know where the cave extended to and where the spirit veins on the ground were located. After a few days he finally understood the situation in the underground cave. This cave was connected to the source of the Netherworld King's River. Back then, Wang Daoyuan and a group of demonic beasts were dealing with refined corpses in the ghost cave. In the end, they chased away the refined corpses. In order to prevent the refined corpses from coming back, they dug up the underground water veins and formed the Netherworld King's River. The 7-leaf ghost-faced flower was also obtained from the ghost cave. The ghost cave also had naturaline veins. Otherwise, the Netherworld King's River wouldn't have such densine qi. If he set up a property nearby, he could plant inky jade lotus, 7-leaf ghost-faced flower, yellow spring willow, and other spiritual plants near the Netherworld King's River. The Ghost Cave was about 10,000 li east of the Mirror Gem Lake Oasis. It was less than 1,000 li away from the Sky/Mountain Range's main vein. It was originally a small valley that ran from east to west. Now it had turned into a small lake that was 10 li long from east to west and 3 li wide from north to south. There were 2 mountain ranges on both sides of the valley. In the small mountain range south of the valley, there was a rank 4 mid-grade spirit vein. The mountain range wasn't high, only 4 to 500 zhang. It stretched for 500 li from east to west and 50 li from north to south. The south of the mountain was lush with vegetation and the soil was very thick. It was very suitable to open up a spiritual farm. Because it was located south of the Ghost Cave, Wang Daoyuan named it South Serene Mountain. Next he would set up a property on South Serene Mountain. In the future this place would be an important fulcrum for the Wang clan. In the future when they entered the Purple Gold River Valley, they would have to use this place as a base. From here the clan's cultivators could enter the Karst Cave and go all the way to the Purple Gold River Valley. South Serene Mountain was only 20,000 li away from the Jade Spring Peak and 10,000 li away from the 5 Elements Secret Realm. It wouldn't be a problem for flying boats to travel back and forth. If they followed the Netherworld King's River downstream, they would reach the territories of Zhong Xinyang and the other clans in less than 20,000 li. It could be said that South Serene Mountain was a strategic location. After choosing the location, Wang Daoyuan sent a letter to Wang Mingqian, informing him of the situation here and dispatching people over. First they would set up a defensive formation here. Then they would open up some spiritual farms and gradually move their clansmen over. In a few decades, they would be able to establish South Serene County with this place as the center. It would be north of Huiyin Mountain and west of the Sky/Mountain Range. Chapter 851. Wang Daoyuan waited here for a few hours before a flying boat arrived. The dragonfish flag of the Wang family was still hanging at the bow of the boat. The flying boat landed on a flat area on the south slope of South Serene Mountain. More than 20 cultivators walked down from the flying boat. The person at the front was Wang Shouja. To build a foundation here, formations naturally had to be set up for protection. Wang Shouja raised his hands and said, "Grand Emperor, this time I have brought 5 rank 3 formation masters, 5 rank 3 forgers and more than 10 ling plant farmers. Grand Emperor, please tell us where to start." Wang Daoyuan pointed at the mountain range under his feet. This mountain is called South Serene Mountain. North of the mountain is the source of Nether King River. The yin energy in the water is dense and can be used to plant Inky Jade Serene Lotus, Yao Soul Grass and other ling plants. I have already scattered a lot of seeds by the lake. When the ling plants germinate you just have to look after them. Our family's business will be built south of South Serene Mountain. The soil here is thick and it is more convenient to open up ling fields. I have not stayed here for long and do not know this place well. What formations to set up and how to open up the ling fields you can decide. Everyone raised their hands in acknowledgement. Wang Daoyuan transmitted to Wang Shouja, "There is an underground cave below. Build a secret room that connects to the underground cave. Use formations to protect it. This matter must be kept secret and cannot be easily known by others." Only Wang Daoyuan, the Jindan of the family Wang Mingqian, and Zhou Wan knew about the Purple Gold River. Wang Shouja might be the grand elder of the family, but his status was not high enough so he had not been told. Then he called Hui Peng over. "Hui Peng will watch over this place for now. I still have to do something." Finishing, he used the concealment devil art to hide his figure and flew east. After flying 100 li, he entered the underground cave. His goal was the Purple Gold River Valley. Now that the Ling vein had recovered to rank 5, the sleeping Yao beast had awakened. He also wanted to see if the Purple Gold River Valley was occupied by rank 5 Yao beasts and if he could still develop here. Doppelganger Zheng Ping had been cultivating in the underground Yin spring of the Purple Gold River branch. Now he was already a rank 4 low-class corpse. He used to be a living corpse when he was alive so his essence, chi and spirit could completely fuse into his corpse. This kind of refined corpse had an extremely high growth limit, not inferior to those refined corpses that had special constitutions when they were alive. Zheng Ping's panoramic perception clone found out that the Purple Gold River branch's spirit vein was already a level 5 low-grade spirit vein. Even the Yin spring he was in had already become a 5th stage spirit spring. Zheng Ping's foundation was excellent, and he also had the nourishment of a level 5 spirit spring. If it wasn't for the fact that Wang Daoyuan didn't have the time to deal with him, it wouldn't have been a problem for him to transform into a metal elite zombie. Wang Daoyuan had walked through this underground cave many times, so he was quite familiar with it. It didn't take long for him to arrive at the Zijin River Valley. Compared to the last time he was here, the clouds here were thicker. However, Wang Daoyuan's cultivation had also improved tremendously. Coupled with the heaven-prying eye, he could clearly see the situation within 200 miles. The Zijin River Valley was within the heavenly/mountain range, so there was no need to talk about the concentration of spirit qi. The entire valley was filled with level 5 low-grade spirit qi. Wang Daoyuan came to the Zijin River branch. The last time he was here, he broke the defensive formation here and repaired it before he left. Now the formation here was still intact. It seemed that those level 5 demonic beasts shouldn't have come here. Since it was intact, there was no need for him to stay here for long. He left behind some inky jade lotus, demon soul grass, 7-leaf ghost face flower seeds, and a few yellow spring willow branches for Zheng Ping. A level 5 Yin spring was the most suitable place to plant these things. Then he left the Zijin River branch and followed the Zijin River all the way downstream. At the branch, the Zijin River Valley was already more than 10,000 miles wide. As he continued to head east, it became wider and wider. Of course, the fog also became thicker and thicker. After flying east for more than 50,000 miles, he reached the mouth of the Zijin River. If he continued east, it should be the Mirage Fog Sea. The fog here was so thick that even if he used the heaven-prying secret technique, he still couldn't see the situation 100 miles away. The width of the heaven/mountain range was only more than 10,000 miles. The mouth of the river was already out of the range of the heaven/mountain range, and there were no mountain ranges on the north and south sides. This should be a plain deposited by the Zijin River, and there were no traces of human activity near the mouth of the river. On the way here, there were occasionally ruins left behind from ancient times. Of course, there were many places with spirit veins, half-demon tribes, and human itinerant cultivators. Wang Daoyuan didn't alert them previously. Previously, he guessed that there were level 5 demonic beasts hiding in the Mirage Fog Sea. Now that his divine sense was severely limited, he didn't dare to enter the Mirage Fog Sea rashly, so he turned around and headed west. The fog here was so thick that low-level cultivators were like headless flies. Logically speaking, there shouldn't be many humans and half-demons willing to live here. However, there were quite a number of people and half-demons here. Wang Daoyuan had encountered quite a number of itinerant cultivators and half-demons. After flying west for more than 20,000 miles, he met 5 late-stage Foundation establishment half-demons who were besieging a late-stage Foundation establishment human cultivator. The leader of the half-demons shouted, "Don't let this human escape." The half-demon's accent was no different from the humans to the west of the heaven/mountain range. If he wanted to understand the situation in the Zijin River Valley, he couldn't rely on himself to explore it. It was a good opportunity to get some information from this human. Wang Daoyuan suppressed his cultivation to the peak of the Foundation establishment realm and took out a low-grade level 3 magic longsword from the trash in the spiritual pearl. He revealed himself and killed one of the half-demons. He shouted, "Who are you? How dare you bully a human cultivator?" A cultivator with an ominous glint in his eyes and extremely long canine teeth in his mouth rebuked angrily, "How dare you attack the people of my Silver Wolf tribe?" Before he finished speaking, he attacked Wang Daoyuan with his long sword. Wang Daoyuan swung his sword and sliced the half-demon's sword in half. Exerting force with his feet, he appeared in front of the half-demon and killed it with a single slash. The remaining half-demons wanted to escape, but the human cultivator quickly transmitted, "Daoyu, don't let them escape. The Silver Wolf tribe has 5 Zifu realm cultivators and one of them is at the peak of the Zifu realm. If we let them escape, we won't have a place to stay for thousands of kilometers. The valley is filled with smoke and it'll be difficult to find another place to stay." He then chased after one of the half-demons. Wang Daoyuan also attacked the half-demons. In just a dozen breaths of time they killed all of the half-demons. The 2 of them collected their spoils of war and threw the corpses into a nearby river. The human cultivator cupped his hands and said, "Junior Zhou Ting, thanks Senior for saving my life." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and said, "We're all Foundation establishment cultivators and our cultivations are similar. There's no need to be so polite. I'm Wu Chuan and I've just arrived here from somewhere else. I don't have a place to stay yet. May I ask Daoyu if there's a place to stay nearby?" Zhou Ting laughed. "Fellow Taoist, you've asked the right person. 1,000 or so kilometers south of here, there's a human late-stage Zifu disciple leading a marketplace that is jointly established by multiple Zifu disciples. This is one of the few human factions in the entire Zijin River Valley. If Daoyu is interested, you can also stay in the city." Given Daoyu's abilities, You'll definitely have a place in the city in the future. Wang Daoyuan's interest was piqued. As long as he could find the city, he would naturally be able to find the information he wanted. He hurriedly nodded and said, "If there's a safe place like this, I'm naturally willing to go. Please lead the way, Daoyu." The two of them left this place and headed south. After flying 1,000 kilometers, they arrived at a small mountain range that was fairly tall. Under Zhou Ting's lead, Wang Daoyuan made many turns and arrived at a small valley. Zhou Ting took out a command medallion and a screen of light suddenly appeared in front of him. Wang Daoyuan was somewhat surprised. The level of this illusory formation wasn't low. He didn't expect the Zijin River to have such a brilliant technique. The two of them walked into the screen of light. In front of them was a wooden archway with the words "Hidden Dragon City" written on it. Chapter 852. This hidden flood dragon market wasn't spacious at all. There was only a valley that was less than half a kilometer wide. The buildings and shops on both sides were all carved out of the cliff. Zhou Ting explained as he walked, "There are very few rules in this hidden flood dragon market. As long as you don't fight or force people to buy or sell, everything else is up to you. If you want to open a shop, you don't need to discuss it with anyone or buy a shop. This hidden flood dragon valley is very long and there aren't many shops. You can just find a random place to open a shop. If you're too lazy to carve out a cliff, you can just set up a stall. As long as you don't destroy the formation, no one will bother you." With Daoyu's cultivation, he can be ranked in the top 10 of the hidden flood dragon market. His battle prowess should be second only to the Zifu realm seniors. Why don't you join the market guard like me? You might have a chance to break through to the Zifu realm in the future. His meaning was obvious. If Wang Daoyuan became a member of the market guard, he would naturally benefit as well. Unfortunately, Wang Daoyuan came here to learn more about the Violet Gold River Valley. Naturally, he wouldn't stay here for long. He had also investigated many places in the Violet Gold River Valley. What he was most curious about wasn't the strange fog, but the fact that he didn't find any traces of golden core cultivators. Both humans and half-demons were only at the Zifu realm. As for demonic beasts, there weren't even rank 3 demonic beasts here, let alone rank 4 demonic beasts. He asked Zhou Ting, "There's something I don't understand. I'd like to ask Daoyu to explain it to me. I've been traveling in the Violet Gold River Valley for many years, but I've never seen a golden core cultivator or a rank 4 demonic beast. Why is that?" Zhou Ting shook his head. "How would us Foundation Establishment cultivators know anything about golden core cultivators? Why don't I take Daoyu to see those seniors in the market guard? They're all Zifu realm cultivators and should know more than me. Especially that late-stage Zifu realm cultivator. His cultivation is close to the golden core stage, so he naturally knows more. I heard that this late-stage Zifu realm cultivator had escaped from a half-demon tribe. These half-demon tribes like to raise human cultivators to help them refine magic tools, pills, and other items. These humans are like livestock. If the half-demons aren't happy, they'll kill them. This senior grew up in a half-demon tribe and might know a lot of secrets." As soon as he said that, Wang Daoyuan became interested. "Daoyu, please lead the way. I wish to pay a visit to this late-stage Zifu disciple." He followed behind Zhou Ting, walking all the way to the deepest part of Hidden Dragon Valley. The further in they went, the fewer shops and caves there were on both sides of the valley. After going more than 10 miles deep, there were no more caves or shops. The two of them walked for more than 20 miles and there were 6 caves here. Zhou Ting said, "This is the abode of the 6 Zifu disciples of the hidden WRM market. My level of cultivation is low and I have no choice but to come here. I'd better leave first lest the seniors blame me." Wang Daoyuan didn't stop him. Even if there were hidden dragons and crouching tigers in this city square, in his hands, they were just clay chickens and pottery dogs. After Zhou Ting walked far away, Wang Daoyuan relaxed the suppression of his cultivation and released the spirit energy fluctuations of a late-stage Violet Palace realm cultivator. Immediately, 2 Zifu disciples walked out of their caves. One of them had white hair and a white beard, and was a late-stage Zifu disciple. The other was a muscular man, and was a middle-stage Zifu disciple. Upon seeing Wang Daoyuan, the 2 clasped their hands and said, "Dare I ask why Daoyu has come here?" Wang Daoyuan laughed, "I was traveling here and accidentally entered this city square. I have some questions that I wish to ask Daoyu." The white-haired cultivator replied, "The other cultivators have gone out on business. Only the 2 of us are here. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If we can help, we won't hide anything." Wang Daoyuan asked, "I'm about to break through to the Jindan stage as well. Only, Why are there no Jindan cultivators or fourth-rank monsters in the Violet Gold River Valley? The white-haired cultivator was somewhat puzzled. This isn't much of a secret to us Zifu disciples. How come Daoyu doesn't know? Could it be that Daoyu is a cultivator from the outside? Seeing that he had been exposed, Wang Daoyuan didn't hide it anymore. I'm indeed a cultivator from the outside. A few decades ago I was forced into the Mirage Fog Sea by a monster. By chance I came to the Violet Gold River Valley. The strongest cultivators in the half-demon tribes were only at the Zifu disciple level. Now that I've finally encountered a human force, the strongest cultivator I've encountered is only at the late-stage Zifu disciple level. Logically speaking, the spiritual energy in the Violet Gold River Valley is so dense that there should be Jindan cultivators here. The muscular cultivator had a look of admiration on his face. It seems that Daoyu is quite powerful. You were actually able to escape from the Mirage Fog Sea. He wasn't born in the Violet Gold River Valley and didn't join any forces. It's natural that he doesn't know about this. Legend has it that the Violet Gold River Valley was the territory of a great immortal sect in the ancient times. There were all kinds of methods left underground. Regardless of whether it was a human, a monster, or a half-demon, as long as they dared to undergo their heavenly tribulation here, the power of their tribulation would be greatly increased. There was once a half-demon who used several high-grade level 4 magic tools to resist his core formation heavenly tribulation. In the end, he was still struck to death by the heavenly tribulation and all his magic tools were destroyed. If a Jindan cultivator and above were to cultivate here, it would be very easy for them to go berserk. The Zifu disciple would either have to take the risk and leave here or wait for their lifespan to run out. The monsters and cultivators outside are also unwilling to come here. Therefore there are no Jindan cultivators or 4th-grade monsters here. As for the monsters, without the protection of high-grade monsters, how could they fight against us humans and half-demons? They were all killed long ago. The white-haired cultivator nodded. Li Daoyu's words are the same as what I know. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan was a bit surprised. The Violet Gold River Valley was even larger than the Linhai State. In such a large place the methods left behind were definitely not ordinary. If the power of the heavenly tribulation was greatly increased and cultivators could easily go berserk, then it could be a problem with the laws. However, he didn't feel this. In the past he had cultivated in the Violet Gold River branch for a few years and didn't feel anything strange. When he cultivated, he first used the spirit fire to refine the spirit chi and then merged it into his body. Maybe it was dissolved by the spirit fire. Only the Myriad Beasts Valley would be able to leave behind such a powerful trump card. According to Long Yuntian, the mountain north of the Valley of Beasts should be in the Mirage Fog Sea. Then this place could be considered the backyard of the Valley of Beasts. Wang Daoyuan never had the habit of seeking death unless the benefits were great. Therefore there was no need to investigate what the Valley of Beasts had left behind. The fact that the Violet Gold River Valley couldn't allow Jindan cultivators and 4th-grade monsters to cultivate was a good thing for the Wang family. Both sides didn't have any Jindan cultivators. Zheng Ping's 4th-grade refined corpse was basically invincible. In addition to the flying warship and other things, half-demons weren't worth mentioning. When the Serene South Mountain developed, they could secretly transfer people here. In addition, they had the Violet Gold River branch as a foothold and the Wang family behind them. They didn't need any Jindan cultivators to attack. They only needed to develop for a few hundred years and they could completely wipe out the Violet Gold River. However, the Valley of Beasts treated this place as their backyard. There were also cultivators from the Violet Gold River branch stationed here. It couldn't be that they couldn't allow Jindan cultivators and above to cultivate. This method of restriction should have been activated after the Violet Gold River branch was attacked. If it could be activated, it might be able to be closed. When the Wang family completely wiped out the Violet Gold River and didn't take the demons seriously, they could close this restriction. If they couldn't close it, they could destroy it. At that time, the Violet Gold River would really become the Wang family's backup. After knowing this important news, Wang Daoyuan didn't need to continue staying here. Thank you, Daoyu, for telling me. Since I can't break through to the Jindan stage in the Violet Gold River, I will prepare to enter the Mirage Fog Sea again. Goodbye. The two wanted to ask him to stay, but seeing that he didn't have any intention to stay, they didn't say anything. After speaking, he left the Hidden Dragon Market and concealed himself as he headed west. He wasn't in a hurry to investigate the Valley of Beasts. He could wait until the time was right. He headed west and returned to the west of the Sky/Mountain Range. Chapter 853. Returning to the west of Sky/Mountain Range through the Karst Cave, in this month, South Serene Mountain had been doing very well. More than a dozen ling plant farmers had opened up dozens of mu of ling fields and planted the seeds of ling grains. These ling grains were all rank 1. The ling fields had just been opened and without ling spring water, the grade was relatively low. The water-ine energy in Nether King River was too heavy and could not be used to water normal ling fields. There were also ling plant farmers using the sweet rain art to send down rainwater with ling energy to nourish the ling fields. Seeing this situation, Wang Daoyuan felt he had been careless and should have dug a ling spring. There was a large underground water vein under the ghost cave, and the water vein was separated from the yin vein. When the water vein was dug, it was to wash away the yin energy of the ghost cave and prevent the refined corpses from taking over this place again. Now he could draw out some water from the underground water vein. The ling power in the water vein below was not low. Back then it had been a rank 4 low-grade ling vein. Now it would be even higher. Wang Daoyuan landed on South Serene Mountain, and the clansmen hurriedly bowed. At this time Wang Shouja also ran over and was about to bow when Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and said, "No need to be polite. I saw that it was too hard for the clansmen to open up the ling fields, and there are water veins below, so I want to open a ling spring here. The water veins below have a large amount of water, so the water in the spring may also be large. I don't know how you plan the buildings and formations, but where do you think is suitable to open a ling spring?" Wang Shouja thought for a moment and then pointed at a relatively low-lying place halfway up the mountain. "Let's go there. I was planning to set up a water attribute formation there. If it can attract a ling spring, then it would be perfect." Wang Daoyuan nodded and flew halfway up the mountain. He drew out a wisp of returning dust flame and put it on the low-lying area to burn the rock strata. At the same time, he took out a compass to determine the exact location of the underground water vein. At the same time, he had to avoid the yin vein and the karst cave. Otherwise, if the water poured into the karst cave, not only would it not attract spring water, it would affect the clansmen migrating to Purple Gold River in the future. To avoid the karst cave, he did not dig a hole straight up and down. Instead, he went around to the west, away from the karst cave and yin vein. This detour required him to dig a hole tens of thousands of zhang long. Now that the dust-returning flame in his body was already a level 5 high-grade spirit fire, it was not difficult to burn the rock stratum. In just half a day they had already dug to a height of over 100 feet above the water vein. Wang Daoyuan put away the returning dust flame and used his escape technique to arrive at the mountainside. Then he used the blooming water divine thunder and struck it into the cave. Controlling the blooming water divine thunder with his spiritual sense, he came to the deepest part of the cave. The blooming water divine thunder exploded. The enormous power turned the remaining 30 meters of rock into dust. After a few dozen breaths of time, a 5-foot-tall water column gushed out from the mountainside. This water column produced more than 2,000 pounds of water in a single breath. Wang Daoyuan asked, "Uncle, where should the water flow?" Wang Shouja pointed to a large piece of flat land at the foot of the mountain and said, "This large piece of flat land is going to be developed into a spiritual field. After circling around here, it will converge into the Pluto River in the northwest." Wang Daoyuan took out the Guiyuan sword, a silver light flashed, and a 6 feet wide and 5 feet deep canal appeared. The canal extended from the spring halfway up the mountain to the flat land at the foot of the mountain in the south. It extended west to the western end of the serene South Mountain, and then turned north to flow into the Pluto River. After finishing this, Wang Daoyuan breathed a sigh of relief and planned to return to the Jade Spring Peak. At this time, Dahe in the space of the spiritual pearl woke up, and its spiritual power fluctuated violently. It had been sleeping for a long time and now it should be about to break through. It happened that the serene South Mountain had a level 4 spiritual vein with no attribute, so there was no problem for it to break through here. He took Dahe out and put it on the mountainside. "Uncle, stop what you are doing and hide 100 miles away. If Dahe wants to break through to the 4th level, it will cross the tribulation here." Everyone was not surprised but happy. If they caught up with Dahe's tribulation they could also get some benefits. They retreated 100 miles away, and Wang Daoyuan left a bottle of level 4 healing elixir and also retreated. The spiritual power fluctuation on Dahe's body became stronger and stronger, and it constantly opened its mouth to swallow the surrounding spiritual power. Soon Dahe's spiritual power reached the 4th level. The tribulation clouds began to appear. A quarter of an hour later, the tribulation clouds expanded to 60 miles in diameter, and the power of heaven covered 30 miles. Dahe could not use magic weapons, so it could only rely on its body to resist. However, Dahe did not take the beating passively. When the first thunder tribulation fell, Dahe opened its mouth and directly swallowed the thunder tribulation into its stomach. After swallowing this thunder tribulation, not only was it not injured, but its aura was also increasing. Wang Daoyuan could not help but sigh. It deserves to be the descendant of the Archean exotic beast, Heavenly Dog. It even dares to swallow the tribulation. The next 8 thunder tribulations were also swallowed by Dahe. It was not until the 7th thunder tribulation that it caused some damage. The 8th and 9th thunder tribulations were stronger, and Dahe was more seriously injured. After the 9th thunder tribulation, Dahe swallowed all the healing elixirs given by Wang Daoyuan. It also refined the elixirs very quickly. After swallowing them, the elixirs began to work, and Dahe's injuries were quickly healed. The tribulation clouds in the sky were still rolling. After a quarter of an hour, Dahe's injuries were almost healed. A huge black dog's mouth stretched out of the tribulation clouds, and it opened its mouth to suck in the place where Dahe was. The spiritual power in Dahe's body was unstable, and the surrounding spiritual power was sucked away by the huge dog's mouth. Not to be outdone, it opened its mouth to swallow the tribulation clouds. Although Dahe's body was much smaller, the power of its small magic was really not weak. Although it was not as good as the dog's mouth in the sky, it could still swallow a lot of spiritual power. A huge spiritual power vortex with a diameter of more than 150 kilometers appeared on Mount Serene. A huge amount of spiritual power was absorbed by Dahe and the black dog. The two sides were in a stalemate for a quarter of an hour. The black dog did not intend to be in a stalemate any longer. It spat out a large amount of spiritual power, trying to stuff Dahe to death. Dahe was not to be outdone. It opened its mouth and spat out a purple thunderbolt. This thunderbolt also contained the power of the tribulation. It was the thunder tribulation that Dahe had swallowed before. Dahe's devouring talent was really powerful. After swallowing the attack, it could even counter it. A huge black dog more than 300 meters long jumped out of the tribulation clouds and directly threw Dahe to the ground. Dahe's body also grew rapidly, biting the black dog. Unfortunately, it was still not strong enough. Soon it was bitten black and blue all over. However, the black dog could not hold on any longer. Soon it slowly dissipated. Dahe was seriously injured, but it did not pass out. It opened its mouth to absorb the remaining power of the tribulation and a huge amount of spiritual power into its body. The tribulation clouds in the sky began to turn golden. A quarter of an hour later, golden raindrops fell from the golden clouds. Dahe was not seriously injured. It was mainly a flesh wound. Under the nourishment of the gift of heaven and earth, it completely recovered in just 100 seconds. Wang Daoyuan asked all the people on Mount Serene to absorb the gift of heaven and earth. He also sent Yun-Yi, the Arowana, and the soul-chasing Bee King over. An hour later, the gift of heaven and earth ended. Yun-Yi, the Arowana, and the Queen Bee had all fallen into a deep sleep. It seemed that a breakthrough was imminent. Dahe directly spoke in human language. "You all disperse. I'm going to go through a transformation tribulation." It seemed that the demon soul grass that Dahe ate in the space of the spiritual pearl worked. It could speak directly before it transformed. More than 20 people dispersed. Wang Daoyuan also put Yun-Yi and the other two into the space of the spiritual pearl. Soon, tribulation clouds condensed in the sky again. However, this tribulation cloud was very small, only about 300 meters in diameter. There were 3 transfiguration heavenly tribulations, which corresponded to the essence, chi, and spirit. After withstanding 3 transfiguration heavenly tribulations, the essence, chi, and spirit would be closer to that of human beings, and they would be able to transform into human beings. Dahe swallowed all 3 transfiguration heavenly tribulations and then slowly transformed. A day later, Dahe's body began to change. Its black skin turned into a black leather robe, its 4 claws turned into human hands and feet, and its head turned into the shape of a human. In the end, Dahe turned into a strong man who was 9 feet tall and had an angular face. This appearance was very familiar to Wang Daoyuan. After thinking for a long time, he remembered that it was his elder brother Wang Meng when he was young. Chapter 854. Dahe flew to the edge of the water, looked at himself in the mirror, and felt very satisfied. Wang Daoyuan asked, "Why did you transform into my elder brother?" Dahe sighed and said, "When the old master passed away, my intelligence was too low to remember his appearance, but I still have some impression of the eldest young master's appearance. Your appearance is more like the eldest young master's. When I see you often, I can think of the eldest young master's appearance. It's not convenient to look like you, so I transformed into the eldest young master's appearance to commemorate him. Wang Daoyuan nodded and said, You swallowed so many heavenly tribulations. Will there be any problem? Don't worry, second young master. Since my cultivation was promoted to the third stage, a small space appeared in my stomach. With the improvement of my cultivation, this space is getting bigger and stronger. The things swallowed into this space will be quickly refined and integrated into the body to improve my cultivation. After reaching the fourth step, this space of mine is already very stable, and I can even divide space into many separate parts. You can hide the things you swallow, refine them, or save them before spitting them out. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan was a little surprised. Wasn't this giving others a taste of their own medicine? In a fight, it was equivalent to the opponent consuming twice as much energy, and he only consumed the power of his divine sense to perform small magical skills. According to his previous performance of swallowing heavenly tribulations, he could swallow the attacks of the early stage of the gold core realm without being injured. He could also swallow the attacks of the middle stage of the gold core realm. Now that he had absorbed a lot of gifts from heaven and earth, he should be stronger. In ancient times, the heavenly dog could swallow the sun and the moon. The sun was transformed by the golden crow, and the strength of the golden crow was only slightly weaker than that of the 5 elements divine beasts. Since the heavenly dog could swallow it, its strength should also be at the same level. Therefore, the upper limit of Dahai's growth was still extremely high. Unfortunately, there was no special spiritual qi in Beiyuan Xiuxian now, so it would be very difficult for him to break through to a higher realm in the future. Wang Daoyuan still had a lot of blood essence and demon cores of ancient strange beasts left, which could help him break through to the 5th stage. As for higher cultivation, he could only go to the end of the West Sea in the future. Wang Daoyuan asked again, You are so talented. Do you still remember who your parents are? Dahai shook its head and said, The only thing I can vaguely remember is that I almost starved to death when I was young and was taken in by my master. Master lost his father when he was young and was all alone. He grew up eating from hundreds of families, but he was still willing to support me. After I grew up, I helped my master hunt and my life got a little better. Master is also married and there are you 3 brothers. After living in Qingxi village for more than 100 years, he really wanted to go back and take a look. With your strength, you don't need me to guard you. I'll go to Jade Spring Peak first and take a look at Master's grave. He would return to Qingxi village and take a look at the old house. I still need to go to Fallen Dragon Ridge to see my descendants. Wang Daoyuan nodded. Since you've already transformed, you should have a name. Spirit beasts follow their master's surname. I see that your mouth is quite long in your original form. The long-billed dog's surname is Hua, so I'll call you Wang Hua. Don't tell anyone about the space. She then transmitted a message to him. Dahai said with a smile, Thank you, second young master. Wang Ku will leave now. After that, he rode a cloud to the southwest. Wang Daoyuan originally wanted to return to Jade Spring Peak after Wang Hua transcended the tribulation. Now that Yun Yi and the others had fallen into a deep sleep, it was only a matter of time before they broke through. Yun Yi and the dragonfish both liked Yin Qi and water, so it was very suitable for them to break through near the source of the Nether King River. Wang Daoyuan opened up a cave abode on a nameless hill north of Mount Serene. He set up an array to isolate himself from detection and temporarily lived here. After breaking through to the late stage of Yuanying, cultivation did not have much effect. There was a large area of land in the Yen Kingdom, and many people were needed to manage it. The Wang family could not provide too many people at all, so the demand for puppets was even greater. Wang Daoyuan had the puppet technique, but he had not spent much effort refining it before. Now it was time to spend some effort to improve the level of refining puppets. He was refining the puppets in this new cave abode. Previously, on the Demon Islands, after his cultivation broke through to the middle stage of Yuanying, he refined a puppet that harvested spirit grains there. That puppet was only a low-grade Tier 1 puppet, which was too simple. Wang Daoyuan planned to refine a low-grade Tier 2 puppet that could cast the Sweet Rain spell. The Sweet Rain spell was an extremely important spell to maintain the spirit fields. There was a lot of spiritual power in the rain that fell. This spiritual power could be integrated into the spirit fields to prevent them from degenerating. Where there was a spirit spring, it could be watered with spirit spring water, and the effect was better than the Sweet Rain spell. Take the Jade Spring Peak for example, many Tier 4 spirit fields had been developed. However, the family had such a large territory, and not every place had a spirit spring and river. Most of the spirit veins still relied on spells like the Sweet Rain spell to maintain the grade of the spirit fields. A puppet that only cast one spell was not difficult to refine. He only needed to teach the puppet soul to determine which spirit fields needed the Sweet Rain spell and the method to cast it. A Tier 2 puppet was not difficult for a Tier 5 blacksmith. It only took him a day to refine it. He only used 2 days to nurture the puppet soul. Wang Daoyuan installed a low-grade Tier 4 spirit gathering bead on the puppet and put it on South Serene Mountain. At this time, the descendants of the Ling plant farmers in the clan were watering the Ling fields. The puppet inspected the surroundings of the Ling fields and found a Ling field that was slightly further away from South Serene Mountain, and started to cast the Sweet Rain spell. It was still unfamiliar with it and its casting speed was rather slow. It used a dozen breaths to cast the Sweet Rain spell. Suddenly, a dark cloud 20 zhang in diameter appeared in the sky. Dense spirit energy rain fell from the cloud and poured onto the Ling fields. This Ling field did not have enough Ling power to begin with, but after the Sweet Rain spell, the Ling power in the soil increased greatly. There was a special soul inside the puppet, and it could become skilled through practice. It was fine as long as it could cast it successfully. After practicing for a while, it would become proficient. The Ling plant farmers that were watering the Ling fields had excited expressions when they saw this. One of the late-stage Foundation Establishment Realm Ling plant farmers said excitedly, "The most exhausting thing for a Ling plant farmer is to take care of the Ling fields. Now that we have this, the most troublesome matter is saved. Before I could take care of 30 mu of Tier 2 Ling fields. Now it is not a problem to take care of 300 mu." Wang Daoyuan sent a message to Zhao Liang for him to bring some of the talented forgers and formation masters of the clan. It would be best if they had experience in making flying boats. Since the puppet was a combination of forgery and formation, and some nomological inscriptions, it was similar to making flying boats. He also told him to bring the 12th uncle's dragonfish. That blue dragonfish had been stuck at the peak of Tier 3 for a long time. It definitely had enough accumulation, but it just lacked an opportunity to break through. Yao beasts with high-level bloodlines needed to further awaken their bloodline to break through a major realm. This depended on luck. Without luck, they could only rely on accumulation over time. They were not like humans who could break through once they had enough comprehension in their realm. This was a great advantage that humans had over Yao. Talented humans could break through major realms much faster than Shin beasts. That dragonfish was not very willing, so Wang Daoyuan controlled the Grey Rock avatar to grab it out of the Jade Dragon Spring. Then the Grey Rock carried Zhao Liang and the others to South Serene Mountain. Wang Shouzhe and the other formation masters also came to Wang Daoyuan's dwelling to learn puppet arts. Wang Daoyuan took out the first puppet, the one that he had made in the 10,000 Mo Islands to harvest Ling grains. He took it apart into a pile of components and explained the components bit by bit. If there were areas of confusion, Wang Daoyuan would explain in detail. These formation masters and forgers were all heavily nurtured by the clan, and they all had experience in making flying boats. Formation patterns and tool patterns could not stump them. Only the nomological inscriptions could stump them. Wang Daoyuan couldn't understand this either, so he could only let them imitate it. Chapter 855. These people were all disciples that the family had focused on nurturing, so their talent was naturally outstanding. With Wang Daoyuan's personal guidance, they quickly grasped the refining method of first-rank puppets. Half a month later, these people had all refined low-grade first-rank puppets under Wang Daoyuan's guidance. Their artifact refinement and array formation attainments were at least at the 3rd rank. Under Wang Daoyuan's guidance, it only took them more than a month to refine second-rank puppets that could use the Sweet Rain technique. At this moment, Yun Yi, the dragonfish, and the queen bee in the spirit pearl space were all unstable. Although they had not woken up yet, it was only a matter of time. Wang Daoyuan flew out of the cave abode and placed the 3 of them by the Nether King River, keeping a distance of 25 kilometers between them. This was to prevent them from interfering with each other when they began to transcend the tribulation at the same time. At this moment, a sword light flew over from the southwest. The sword light landed in front of Wang Daoyuan. It was Wang Dezhao. He cupped his hands at Wang Daoyuan. 7th uncle, I can already use my spirit power to imitate the law of fire and can transcend the tribulation. I heard that Yun Yi and the others were going to transcend the tribulation here, so I wanted to come here and get some glory. Coincidentally, I'm also a refiner and want to learn how to refine puppets. Wang Daoyuan had always thought highly of Wang Dezhao. After all, he was 9th uncle's great-great-grandson and 4th brother Wang Daoqing's grandson. Furthermore, he was quite talented. Whether it was cultivation, alchemy, or refining, he was a good seedling. He was also quite intelligent and was a material that could hold his own. There were not many such disciples in the Wang family. It just so happens that Yunyi, the soul-chasing queen bee, and the dragonfish I raised are all about to break through. You can absorb more of the gifts of heaven and earth to strengthen your potential. As for the puppets, we'll talk about them after the tribulation. After waiting for a long time, Yunyi was the first to wake up. At this moment, the spirit power fluctuations on her body were already very strong, and she could break through at any time. Humans could control themselves and only break through when they wanted to. Demons were unable to control their own cultivation. Once they had accumulated enough, they would automatically break through. Now that he had accumulated enough spiritual energy and had absorbed many blessings from the world, the dark soul-devouring tiger's bloodline had reached the point where it could break through. Now it could no longer suppress it. Wang Daoyuan gave it a bottle of healing pills and told it to take it when it was injured. Yunyi was usually lazy. It was really a little hard to believe that she could successfully transcend the tribulation. The spiritual energy in its body increased rapidly, and soon it reached the level of the fourth stage lower grade. Tribulation clouds began to appear in the sky, and the lightning tribulation soon descended. When the first bolt of lightning struck, Yunyi let out a furious roar and directly dispersed the lightning. A large amount of the power of the heavenly tribulation entered its body. The following heavenly tribulations had the same result. When the seventh heavenly tribulation fell, the spiritual energy in Yunyi's body fluctuated violently, and a huge white tiger phantom appeared. The white tiger's eyes were also pitch black and carried a dense qi and baleful aura. When the seventh heavenly tribulation descended, it was forcefully withstood by the white tiger phantom. The white tiger phantom only dimmed slightly. Yunyi injected spiritual energy into the phantom, and it recovered again. When the eighth heavenly tribulation descended, the white tiger phantom almost disappeared. Yunyi injected spiritual energy again, and the ninth heavenly tribulation descended. It directly shattered the white tiger phantom and hit Yunyi. This fellow's fat was really not for nothing. A heavenly tribulation actually only caused it to suffer some superficial injuries. Yunyi ate a healing pill and recovered from her injuries. A quarter of an hour later, a white tiger descended from the sky. Its eyes were pitch black. This shocking baleful aura made Wang Daoyuan feel a little apprehensive. Back then, when he formed his core, the spirit body tribulation and the 5 elements divine beasts all appeared. The white tiger divine beast alone was stronger than most cultivators' minor divine power tribulations. However, that white tiger did not have such a powerful baleful aura and deterrence. The soul-devouring dark tiger was indeed unparalleled in terms of aura and soul intimidation. Yunyi was naturally extremely terrified and trembled in fear. The soul-devouring dark tiger roared, and Yunyi almost fainted. It also opened its mouth and roared to intimidate the soul-devouring dark tiger. Unfortunately, the soul-devouring dark tiger did not move. Instead, it pounced on it. The 2 cloud patterns on Yunyi's shoulders turned into wings and flew into the sky to dodge. The soul-devouring dark tiger also flew into the sky to chase after it. However, Yunyi's wings were not for nothing. She was much faster than it. It could only continuously roar to intimidate Yunyi and take the opportunity to attack a few times. After 15 minutes, Yunyi was covered in wounds. She was pressed to the ground and bitten. Soon she fainted. The soul-devouring dark tiger also gradually dissipated, turning into a rich power of the heavenly tribulation. With Yunyi's fat body, his defense was really not low. If not for the fat protecting her, she would have been torn apart alive by the soul-devouring dark tiger. The bloodline of a divine beast, white tiger, had nothing to boast about in terms of attack other than roaring. On the contrary, this fat body had extremely strong defense. It was really a wonder. Although it was on the verge of death, it still had some vitality. Wang Daoyuan used the azure dragon pearl to heal it. After 15 minutes, golden raindrops fell from the sky. Yunyi's injuries recovered quickly. The murderous aura on her body also increased rapidly. The fat on her body became less and less. After 15 minutes, Yunyi woke up. There was not much fat on her body. She finally looked like a normal tiger. The Wang family members were very familiar with Yunyi. They hurriedly took food to exchange for the gift of heaven and earth. Yunyi very generously agreed to the exchange. At this moment, the arowana and the queen bee also woke up. Their spiritual power fluctuations quickly reached the low grade of the 4th stage. 2 tribulation clouds, one big and one small, appeared in the sky at the same time. After the arowana woke up, it immediately jumped into the Nether King River. Its small divine ability was water control. It had a great advantage in the river. Soon, the heavenly tribulation descended from the clouds that were more than 25 kilometers in diameter. It controlled a large amount of river water and formed a black water prison similar to the black tortoise purgatory. The lightning tribulation was useless. On the queen bee's side, the tribulation cloud was much weaker. It was less than 15 kilometers in diameter. Its body emitted something like pollen. The pollen condensed into a shield and blocked the lightning tribulation. After 9 lightning tribulations, the arowana had the geographical advantage and was unharmed. The queen bee directly fainted. However, it did not have any special bloodline. After 9 lightning tribulations it was fine. When the gift of heaven and earth descended, it would be fine no matter how serious its injuries were. Soon, its gift of heaven and earth descended. At the same time, the arawana's small divine ability tribulation also descended. However, this fellow was sneaky. It directly drilled into the source of the Nether King River, the depths of the Netherworld cave. It was thousands of feet deep and there was a huge Yin vein. This arowana probably wanted to use the Yin Chi to resist the power of the heavenly tribulation. It could only be said that this arowana was too young and had not seen the world. Unless it hid in a place like the Netherworld mystic realm, it could temporarily avoid the attack of the heavenly tribulation. Soon, a pitch-black true dragon descended from the sky and drilled into the Netherworld cave. The nearby ground shook slightly. The water in the Nether King River also became unstable. Sometimes there would be huge waves and sometimes the river would flow backward. After a quarter of an hour, the commotion disappeared. Not long after, a black arowana floated out with its belly facing the sky. However, this fellow was still alive. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly fished it out and used the azure dragon pearl to treat its injuries. At this moment, Yunyi was watching the show from the side. She even wanted to use her claws to tease the arowana. After being scolded by Wang Daoyuan, she obediently hid at the side. 15 minutes later, the queen bee's gift of heaven and earth ended. The arawana's gift of heaven and earth began. Wang Dezhao continued to absorb the arawana's gift of heaven and earth. At this moment, a woman's voice sounded. "Master, can I transcend the heavenly tribulation of transformation?" Wang Daoyuan looked. It was the soul-chasing bee queen. It was now half a foot long. The soul-chasing bees had collected a lot of nectar from the demonic soul grass. This queen bee should have eaten a lot too. It was not surprising that it could speak now. The queen bee was female. If it transformed, wouldn't Zhou Wan kill him all the way from the Blood Shadow headquarters? Even if you don't want to live, I still want to live. Why do you want to transform? After saying that, he put it into the space of the spirit pearl. Chapter 856. Under the nourishment of the gifts of heaven and earth, the arowana quickly woke up. At this time its body had grown to more than 3 feet long, and its head was 3 feet long. It was no different from a true dragon, and its body had also become slender. It looked closer to a true dragon than the old ancestor's arowana, but it was covered in Yin energy and looked quite evil. 12th Uncle's arowana had absorbed the gifts of heaven and earth from Yunyi and the other two and had fallen into a deep sleep. It usually stayed at the Jade Dragon Spring and could only eat some Jade Dragon algae, but it had never lived such a good life. It would take a long time to digest so many gifts of heaven and earth. The arawana's gifts of heaven and earth soon ended, and Wang Dezhao also absorbed the gifts of heaven and earth from the 3 spirit beasts. Wang Daoyuan asked, "Dezhao, do you want to transcend the tribulation now?" Wang Dezhao cupped his hands and said, "Thank you, 7th Uncle. I feel that my physical body still has room for improvement, so I want to improve a little more before transcending the tribulation." Wang Daoyuan naturally had no objections. Wang Dezhao was less than 300 years old now, so he had plenty of time. The family did not lack a golden core cultivator now, so it was a good thing to strengthen the foundation. He nodded. "Then work hard to improve. Don't worry about the puppet technique. I'll teach it to others first. It won't be too late for you to learn it after you break through." "Yes, 7th Uncle. I still have to go to the Green Willow Secret Realm for seclusion. Goodbye." Wang Daoyuan nodded. "Take your 12th Uncle's arowana back to the Jade Spring Peak. I'll ask the Grey Rock to send you back." The Grey Rock carried Wang Dezhao and the arowana to the southwest. After the arowana broke through to the 4th stage, it could not speak human language. After all, its cultivation time could not be compared to Yunyi and the others, and it ate very little demon soul grass. It sent a voice transmission to Wang Daoyuan. "Master, I want to transcend the tribulation." Wang Daoyuan naturally had no objections. This guy used the power of the Mingshui River to withstand the 9 heavenly tribulations without being injured. When Big Black transformed, he had also seen the tribulation. It was not worth mentioning. With its divine power, it was naturally not a problem. The arowana jumped into the Mingshui River, and a small dark cloud appeared again. The 3 heavenly tribulations soon fell. The black dragon fish blocked the heavenly tribulations with the help of the river water. Soon, the scales on his body turned into a black fish-scaled robe, and he turned into a skinny young man who was 8 feet tall. His face was delicate and pretty, and there were 2 small dragon horns on his forehead. His eyes were darting around, and he didn't look like an honest fish. At this moment, the clone in the space was reading the 10,000 spirit catalog. Wang Daoyuan also wanted to see what kind of dragon this guy was. There were a few types of dragons that liked Ding Qi. Combined with the appearance of the black dragon that had appeared in the minor divine ability tribulation, it was clear that the black dragon was very powerful. Wang Daoyuan was sure that the black dragon fish should belong to the nether dragon bloodline, but it was hard to say which type it was. Legend had it that the nether dragon was the true dragon that guarded the water veins of the underworld. Its strength was considered relatively strong among the dragon clan. Naturally, it couldn't compare to the azure dragon, but it was much stronger than the profound dragon. His ability to control water could be said to be one of the best among the true dragons of the water dragon species. The young man that the black dragon fish had transformed into came in front of Wang Daoyuan and bowed deeply. "Greetings, master." Wang Daoyuan nodded. "Since you have transformed, I will give you a name. Wang Minglong." Hearing this, Yunyi leaned over with his big furry head. "Master, what about me? Didn't I already name you Yunyi? From now on you will be called Wang Yunyi. Why don't you go through a transformation heavenly tribulation?" Yunyi shook his big head. "No, after transforming, it will be difficult to cheat barbecue." Wang Daoyuan sighed. This fat cat was hopeless. He had become a 4th-level spirit beast, but he was still so useless. He gave him some inky jade lotus seeds, and this guy ran to the Nether King River to play in the water. Wang Minglong was even younger and had never been out of the space of the spiritual pearl. Everything was new to him, so he also ran to the river to play. Wang Daoyuan sent them a message and told them not to leak the information about the space. Then he returned to his cave residence and continued to make puppets. The other clansmen also followed him to the cave residence. Wang Shouja said, "Daoyuan, teach us some more puppet-making methods. I checked some of the family's books, and they all say that the greatest use of puppets is fighting. We only know how to make some spirit plant farmer puppets, and this is just the tip of the iceberg of puppet making. How about you teach us some battle puppet-making methods? I think the sword cultivator puppet in Wanchuan Market is very powerful." Wang Daoyuan sighed. "I didn't make them. Up until now, I have only made 2 puppets, the 2 that I dismantled for you." Then he took out a thin beast skin book. "This is the method to make puppets from 1st to 3rd level. All kinds of puppets are recorded. You can write it down. I don't need to tell you the importance of this inheritance. You must not leak it out. After you learn this inheritance, don't make them casually. The difficulty of making puppets isn't high. The biggest difficulty is the material of the puppet core. There are very few materials that can make a 5th-level puppet core. That sword puppet used a 5th-level soul crystal. The material I gave you is yellow spring willow wood. Coincidentally, I have some yellow spring willow seeds. Later, I will dig a hole in the north of Serene South Mountain and water it with a portion of the Nether King River to grow the yellow spring willow. Little uncle, you will set up a formation here to protect the yellow spring willow. To make low-level puppets, the need for puppet core materials is much smaller. The few materials that can nurture the soul can have some effect. For example, in the 9 Underworld Black Crystal Mine, you can sometimes dig out a very good or called 9 Underworld Black Jade. At best, it can be used to make a 3rd-level puppet. You can discuss with the country of Zhao to buy some 9 Underworld Black Jade. He naturally didn't lack yellow spring willow. In the space of the Ling Bead, on the shore of the Gui Water Nether Spring, as well as the canal in the north, there were hundreds of yellow spring willows. To make this kind of low-level puppet core, he only needed a branch as thick as a little finger. Cutting 4 to 5 inches was enough. A yellow spring willow would only need 10 years to grow many branches like this. However, the matter of the Ling Bead space couldn't be leaked. Wang Shouja took the beast skin book and repeatedly said yes. Wang Daoyuan took out a few jade slips. This is the method to make a level 3 spirit gathering pearl. The spirit gathering pearl is a rather special magic tool. It can absorb spirit chi, convert it into spirit chi and store it. Put the spirit gathering pearl on the puppet. In places with dense spirit chi, the puppet can keep working and save a lot of spirit stones. Zhao Liang, I'll leave this to the crafting hall. Make more of it. However, the method to make it must be kept a secret. Zhao Liang took the jade slips and cupped his hands. After sending everyone away, Wang Daoyuan continued to make puppets in the cave abode. He had been thinking about the mountain gate of the Mirage Fog Sea Valley of Beasts, but the risk was too high, so he hadn't made up his mind. If he could make a few more level 5 puppets, he could send them to explore. After staying in the cave abode for more than a month, Wang Daoyuan could already make level 3 upper-grade battle puppets. Of course, his combat methods were still relatively simple, and he could only use a few simple spells. Just as he was about to make a level 4 puppet, a big furry head stuck in from outside the cave abode. When Wang Daoyuan saw that it was Yunyi, he asked, "What trouble did you cause this time? Come in and talk." Yunyi walked into the cave abode, followed by a dejected Wang Minglong. "Master, I didn't cause trouble. It's Wang Minglong. The two of us went downstream along the Nether King River to play, but Wang Minglong insisted on going to the desert. We went to the Mirror Lake Oasis and found a mystic realm. There was a yellow spring inside, and Wang Minglong insisted on going down, saying that it could go home. I was afraid that something bad would happen, so I knocked it out and pulled it back by force." Wang Daoyuan was curious and asked, "Wang Daoyuan, did you awaken your inherited memories?" Wang Minglong answered, "When I saw the spring water, a memory fragment appeared in my sea of consciousness. From the spring water you can reach a river with Densine Qi. There are many demonic beasts with similar bloodlines to me." Chapter 857. The Nether Dragon bloodline originally lived in the underworld and guarded the water veins of the underworld. A few of them would come to the human world through the connection between the underworld and the human world. All dragons were the same. They liked to wander around. Wang Daoyuan was quite clear about Wang Minglong's bloodline inheritance. He was the descendant of the 2 Qing River carps that he caught back then. The Qing River carps belonged to the water dragon bloodline. The Nether Dragon bloodline was also a branch of the Water Dragon bloodline. In terms of bloodline, they were very similar. It should be that the ancestors of the 2 Qing River carps had some Nether Dragon bloodline. In the space of the spiritual pearl, there was pure Yin Qi released by the Gui Water Hell Flame, which might have stimulated the Nether Dragon bloodline in his body. Most divine beasts had some inherited memories. As the descendant of the Nether Dragon, it was not strange for him to awaken some memories of the underworld. Wang Daoyuan asked, "Tell me in detail, what does the river in your memory look like? How do you get in?" Wang Minglong replied, "As long as you go down hundreds of miles along the spring in the secret realm, you will enter a place with extremely dense Yin Qi. The demonic beasts with similar bloodlines to me all live in a yellow river. There are blood-red flowers growing on both sides of the river bank. Those flowers have flowers but no leaves. There is also a huge willow tree on the bank, similar to the willow tree in your space. It's just that the willow tree's bark is yellow while the willow tree in the space has black bark. There are often wandering souls passing by on the river bank, going upstream against the direction of the current. I don't know where they are going." There were also legends of the underworld in Beiyuan Xiuxian. It was roughly the same as the legends of the underworld in his previous life, but there were many differences. The thing in Wang Minglong's inherited memory was the underworld in Beiyuan legend. However, the underground lava of the northern abyss immortal world was only about 10,000 feet from the surface, and 10,000 feet was only a few dozen miles. The secret realm required one to go hundreds of miles underground. This should involve the law of space. It seemed that the legend of the underworld was true. Wang Daoyuan did not need to go to the underworld. Although breaking through to the semi-god realm required a 6th-level inattribute spiritual object, it was not impossible to find it in the human world. There was no need to take this risk. What are the cultivation levels of the demonic beasts with similar bloodlines in your memory? Wang Minglong said without hesitation. There is a huge difference in the strength of those demonic beasts. There are quite a few of them from the 3rd to the 5th order. There are also a few extremely powerful ones who are much stronger than you, Master. As for whether it's the 6th or 7th order, I'm not sure. Is there a true dragon with 4 claws and 5 fingers like the black dragon in your minor divine ability tribulation? Wang Minglong nodded. Yes, but not much. Wang Daoyuan knew that a true dragon was at least at the 7th stage, which was equivalent to a human Mahayana cultivator and had an infinite lifespan. Wang Daoyuan knew a little about the strength of a Mahayana cultivator. Aside from the records in the ancient books, he had also fought Grand Ascension cultivators in person. In the Heavenly Mystery Tower, he also saw many inheritances left behind by Mahayana seniors. Back then, in the illusion of divine Venerable Fiendseal's inheritance, there was only a strand of his divine will. A water ball condensed casually could completely suppress his full-strength attack and even deprive him of his control of spirit power. A true Mahayana cultivator could ignore the spatial cracks and directly tear through space to travel 1,000,000 miles in an instant. The Nether Dragon bloodline was also a type of dragon that was good at fighting. In a battle of the same level, only the most talented human cultivators could be on par with them. If it was the 5 elements divine beast level, only the rare geniuses of the human race could be on par with them. Hearing Wang Minglong's words, there was more than one Nether Dragon at the 7th stage. With his little ability, going down would be like delivering food to the Nether Dragon, and not even an appetizer. He advised, "Nether Dragon, you must not enter the underworld. Legend has it that the underworld does not allow living things to enter and leave as they wish. Although you have the Nether Dragon bloodline and the Nether Dragon clan may protect you, there are not only Nether Dragons. However, the Netherworld didn't only have the Netherworld Dragon clan. There were other experts. The Nether Dragon clan may not violate the rules of the underworld for a dragonfish like you. If they can't protect you, you can only die without a burial place. If you really want to go back to the underworld to take a look, when I cultivate to the Mahayana realm, I can take you with me." Wang Minglong nodded. "Master, don't worry, I won't go down casually. If you want to cause trouble, just do it nearby. Although the 5th stage demons don't dare to come over easily, there might be someone who doesn't abide by the rules. Both of your divine beast bloodlines are not ordinary, so don't let the demons have any evil intentions." Wang Minglong wanted to go out, but Yunyi moved to Wang Daoyuan's side and rubbed her big head against Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan naturally knew what this meant. He took out a storage bag. "Here are 1,000 inky jade lotus seeds and 500 stalks of demon soul grass. You two can share them." Yunyi held the storage bag in her mouth and turned to run. Wang Daoyuan sighed. This fat cat was really useless. After sighing, he continued to refine puppets. This time he planned to refine sword cultivator puppets. Even if he changed to the 5th stage spirit gathering pearl, the puppets still couldn't squander spirit power. Therefore, most of the battle puppets were melee puppets. Large-scale spells like the Snow Frost Heaven technique were a one-time deal. They were powerful enough, but it was difficult to guarantee that they could completely destroy the opponent. Sword cultivators were different. They attacked quickly and had a strong ability to break through defenses. The area of effect might not be as powerful as large-scale spells like the Snow Frost Heaven technique, but their ability to fight experts alone was much stronger. The only problem was that the difficulty of refining was much higher. If a sword cultivator puppet wanted to unleash its power, it must comprehend sword intent. If the person refining the puppet wasn't a sword cultivator, it was impossible to refine a sword cultivator puppet. Wang Daoyuan naturally had no problem. He used 3 days to refine all parts of the puppet and also used Tai Essence Gold to refine a mid-grade 4th stage origin returning sword. What was left was the soul of the puppet. A 4th stage sword cultivator puppet had relatively high requirements for the soul. It couldn't be a human with too complicated thoughts, and the strength of the soul couldn't be too low. It was best to use some demon beast souls with slightly higher intelligence. Wang Daoyuan used the soul of a high-grade 2nd stage fierce blood boar. There were always more than 10 fierce blood boars in the space of the spirit pearl. They were used to provide food for Yunyi and the others. Now they came in handy. He slaughtered a fierce blood boar and handed the pork to his clone. He erased all the memories in the soul and used a secret technique to modify the soul, making it easier for it to control sword intent. However, the price of modifying the soul was also very high. This soul didn't have the ability to learn anything else. Moreover, the soul became even more fragile and easily destroyed. After the soul was modified, Wang Daoyuan took out some nectar of the 7-leaf ghost face flower to stabilize the soul and prevent it from collapsing. Then Wang Daoyuan's Yuanying entered the space of the spirit pearl and brought the soul in. With the help of the flow of time in the space, it helped the soul comprehend sword intent. In addition, he also had to teach the soul a few sword cultivator spells. Perhaps because Wang Daoyuan's Guiyuan sword intent was more difficult, it took half a year for the puppet soul to master sword intent. The flow of time in the space of the spirit pearl had already exceeded 80 times. Half a year in the outside world was more than 40 years in the space. Then he spent some effort to let the puppet soul master some sword cultivator spells. He fused the puppet soul into the puppet and installed 3 4th-stage spirit gathering pearls on it. Wang Daoyuan put more effort into this puppet, and it reached 4th stage middle grade. He summoned Yun Yi and Wang Minglong back and let them be the puppet's sparring partners. After the battle puppet was refined, it needed someone to practice with to improve its combat ability. These two guys had been locked in the space of the Spirit Pearl for too long. They had been playing outside for more than half a year. Now that Wang Daoyuan had come out of seclusion, the two of them were like obedient children, standing obediently. Yun Yi only had two hind legs on the ground, looking very reserved. Wang Daoyuan took out the newly refined sword puppet. This is the puppet I refined. It needs someone with similar strength to be its sparring partner. The two of you are very good. Hearing this, the two of them heaved a sigh of relief. They thought that they had been discovered for their misdeeds, but they didn't expect that they were just sparring partners. Chapter 858. Yun Yi was originally standing on her two hind paws. Now that she was relieved, she put down her two front paws. Wang Daoyuan continued, especially you, Yun Yi. Upon hearing this, Yun Yi's front paws, which had just been put down, left the ground again. Her entire tiger body stood upright, her body straight, and she looked guilty. You're usually lazy. Other than roaring, you only know how to run away. This time you're sparring with the sword puppet, so you should train well. No matter what, you're still of the white tiger bloodline, but your physical combat ability is so poor. If you're lazy again, go take a bath in the lava lake. By the way, during the period when I was in seclusion to improve the puppet technique, the two of you didn't cause any trouble, right? The dragon and tiger hurriedly shook their heads. Wang Minglong shook his head until his black hair fluttered everywhere. Yun Yi's big head shook so much that it left after images. These two guys were jumpy. It would be strange if they didn't cause any trouble. Little uncle didn't send a letter over, so they probably didn't cause any trouble. He didn't intend to investigate further and turned to walk out of the cave abode. Yun Yi heaved a sigh of relief, put down her front paws and followed behind Wang Daoyuan. The foundation of the puppet soul was only the soul of a second-tier upper-grade demon beast. Although it could barely reach the level of a golden core cultivator in terms of comprehending sword intent after being improved by a secret technique. However, its divine sense was too weak, not even comparable to a second-tier demon beast. It was naturally not a problem to take care of the spirit field, but it was troublesome to fight enemies. Without the control of the master, it was difficult to lock onto the enemy. If it encountered an opponent good at hiding, it would be completely blind. To lock onto the opponent, there were generally three methods. The first was to rely on the master's divine sense to guide the attack, which was the case for most puppets. The second was to rely on external guidance, just like those puppets in the Ziwei Palace of the Seven Stars Mystic Realm, tracking the enemy through the changes in the strength of the floor. The most reliable but also the most difficult was to rely on a secret technique to track. Just like the sword puppet guarding Wanchuan Market now, it used a secret technique to capture the opponent's aura and then lock onto the opponent's position. When using this method, the consumption of divine sense was even greater. It was already very difficult to let a puppet soul learn sword intent and sword cultivation dharma spells. Now, it was even more difficult to let it learn a detection secret technique. Of course, there was also a simplified version. It was too strenuous to cultivate the secret technique, so he used the detection of his opponent's artifact to track them. Although this method was more difficult to refine, it could save a lot of time and resources to nurture the puppet soul. Ordinary puppets didn't need to fight alone, so there was no need for them to spend so much effort. The puppet that Wang Daoyuan had refined did not come with any secret detection technique. In battle, he still had to use his divine sense to command. Outside the Immortal's cave, his spiritual awareness swept towards the serene South Mountain. Little Uncle and the others moved quickly. In such a short time, the scale of the South Serene Mountain had begun to appear. He had opened up more than 300 mu of spiritual fields, and more than 50 mu of them had been upgraded to the second stage. He had also set up a defensive formation that covered half of Mount Serene. Naturally, he couldn't let the puppets fight with Yun Yi and the others and damage his family's business. After flying downstream for more than 500 miles along the Pluto River, the battle of the Jindan level could no longer interfere with the serene South Mountain. Wang Daoyuan said, "Yun Yi, you go first. No roaring, no wings." With a pitiful look, Yun Yi had to bite the bullet and fight with the puppets. Wang Daoyuan controlled the puppets and cast the Tiangang sword formation, condensing 36 sword shadows. Yun Yi couldn't roar or use wings. She could only condense a huge soul-devouring dark tiger phantom to resist the attack of the sword shadows. After all, Yun Yi had a small magical power, and her control of spiritual power was stronger. She constantly replenished the power of the soul-devouring dark tiger phantom, and the sword shadows really couldn't break its defense. She also used her tiger claws to attack the sword shadows from time to time, which had some power. It was not bad that this fat cat could do this. Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to let the puppets directly form a sword formation. If Yunyi couldn't withstand it, she might be seriously injured. Ming Long, your defensive ability is stronger in the water. You can be my sparring partner. In a while, the puppets will combine these 36 sword shadows into a sword formation, which is much more powerful. You must do your best and can't slack off. If you feel that you can't withstand it, you can escape into the water. Wang Minglong nodded, turned into his original form, and jumped into the Netherworld King's river. Then a huge amount of river water gathered around him, and quickly formed a huge black water ball. 36 sword shadows surrounded the water ball. These sword shadows released sword chi at the same time, attacking the water ball. The entire river was shining with silver light, so dazzling that people couldn't open their eyes. Wang Minglong extracted the spiritual power in the Netherworld King's river and integrated it into the water ball to resist these sword chi. After a dozen breaths, a black dragon formed by black water flew out of the river. The entire Netherworld King's river boiled, and countless black waters surged towards the black dragon. Countless sword chi slashed on the black dragon, but only a small splash of water. The black dragon swung its tail and broke the sword formation. 36 sword shadows merged together and slashed towards the black dragon. With a loud bang, the sword shadows shattered. The black dragon also turned back into river water and scattered all over the mountains. Wang Daoyuan was very satisfied. Wang Minglong's strength in the water was already better than most mid-stage golden core cultivators. This sword puppet had just been refined, and its spells and other aspects had not been integrated. It was rare to be able to fight to a draw with Wang Minglong. Wang Daoyuan took time out every day to control the puppet and fight with Wang Minglong and Yunyi. A month later, the sword puppet could already skillfully use all sword cultivation spells. With the power of the Guiyuan sword intent and Wang Daoyuan's control, it could already easily defeat Wang Minglong. This puppet could be considered to have been trained. Wang Daoyuan carved 2 words "yellow armor" on the back of the puppet. The Wang family would have more and more battle puppets in the future, and it was too tiring to name them one by one. They named the puppets according to heaven, earth, black, yellow, and heavenly stem. The 4th stage puppet was yellow, the 5th stage black, the 6th stage earth, and the 7th stage heaven. The sword puppet in the Wanchuan market was named Black Armor. The 5th stage low-grade close combat puppet that 5th great uncle always carried was named Black Armor. In the future, when there were more than 10 puppets, they would be named with numbers. Yellow Armor was almost ready, and Wang Daoyuan also planned to refine a 5th stage puppet. Now that the spirit veins in the sky/mountain range had recovered to the 5th stage, there would be more and more Yuanian cultivators. After 100 years, there would probably be hundreds of Yuanian cultivators in the entire Beiyuan Xiuxian. At that time, golden core cultivators could only be considered as mid-level combat power. The Wang family's foundation was weak, and the only one who could break through to the Yuanian realm within 100 years was 12th uncle. He did not know when he would have to go to the Sea of 7 Stars to prepare to break through to the Soul Formation realm. It was difficult for the family to maintain a deterrent force by relying only on 12th uncle. They had to have enough 5th stage puppets to protect them. The 5th stage puppet had a higher requirement for the soul of a demonic beast. It needed at least the soul of a 3rd stage upper-grade demonic beast. Wang Daoyuan also wanted the 5th stage sword puppet to have the ability to search for targets on its own. In this way, the requirement for the soul of a demonic beast would be even higher. It was not easy for the Yen Kingdom to obtain the souls of 4th stage demonic beasts. He sent a message to Zhou Wan, explaining the situation here and asking her to help find the souls of 4th stage demonic beasts. Blood Shadow's methods were still very strong, so this was nothing to him. Half a month later, Wang Daojin received 10 Dharma artifacts that stored Ghost Dao. They were all 4th stage demonic beast souls. With the souls in hand, he could start refining the puppet. As for the detection method, he was not confident that he could directly refine a puppet that could use a secret technique to track the enemy. He might as well refine a puppet that could use a Dharma artifact to track the enemy first. Wang Daoyuan's own refining and array formation skills were only at the 5th stage inferior grade. The possibility of failure when refining a 5th stage inferior grade puppet was still not small. After a full year and several failures, he finally succeeded in refining a 5th stage inferior grade sword puppet. Wang Daoyuan also used the Tai Divine Gold to refine a 5th stage inferior grade origin returning sword for him. As for the 5th stage puppet, he could only find his clone, the Grey Rock. Chapter 859. With a thought from Wang Daoyuan, the Grey Rock patrolling the various territories of the Wang family quickly came to Mount Serene. He knew the puppet and the Grey Rock inside out, so there was nothing he needed to tell them. He flew more than 1,000 miles north of Mount Serene and released the puppet to fight the Grey Rock. Inside the puppet, there was a magic weapon that could lock onto the opponent. It could automatically track the opponent, so there was no need for Wang Daoyuan to control it with his spiritual sense. This type of puppet also had a huge flaw, which was that it could not distinguish between friend and foe. He needed to slowly remember whether it was friend or foe. After all, the soul of the rank 5 puppet was refined from the soul of a rank 4 demon beast, so it had a good foundation. It could learn more things and could slowly learn to distinguish between friend and foe. The puppet and the Grey Rock began to fight, and the Grey Rock took the lead by relying on its speed. At this time, inside the puppet's head, there was a small compass with a diameter of 3 inches, flickering with silver light. These lights formed a 3-dimensional topographic map, and everything within 1,000 miles was in this map. Of course, in order to conserve spiritual power, some places were blurred. After discovering the target, the objects around the target would become extremely clear. Living objects would show a red dot. The stronger the object, the more dazzling the red dot. The Grey Rock attacked, and the red dot on the topographic map representing the Grey Rock flickered violently, rapidly approaching the center. This magic weapon was also derived from the compass. Although it was only a small piece, it was a genuine rank 5 low-grade magic weapon, and was extremely difficult to refine. This compass could be used to search for the enemy's tracks if taken out alone. However, Yuanian cultivators had no use for this thing, and Golden Core cultivators did not need such a high-grade tool. Just as the Grey Rock flew in front of the puppet suddenly turned into a silver light and dodged the attack. This escape technique was called the Silver Light Escape, and was also a type of sword escape technique. When Wang Daoyuan helped the Tai Sword sect to upgrade the Tai Divine Sword to rank 5, they sent him mini-sword cultivation spells. He also cultivated a few, and this Silver Light Escape was one of them. The Grey Rock's attack missed, and it flapped its wings fiercely. Dozens of feathers formed by wind spiritual power attacked the Silver Light. After the Silver Light escaped more than 10 miles, it turned back into a puppet. He swung his sword horizontally and countless silver lights flew out, condensing into a large silver bell. This spell was the Demon-Resisting Sword Bell, a spell from the Guiyuan Sword Codex. Now that it was used together with the Guiyuan Sword Intent, its power was quite impressive. One by one the feathers were deflected by the bell, and the puppet easily withstood the attack. The Grey Rock attacked again. The large bells around the puppet turned back into sword chi and formed the demon-slaying sword. He brandished his sword with both hands and slashed at the Grey Rock. The Grey Rock relied on his cultivation advantage and did not have the slightest intention of dodging. Its 2 wings flapped fiercely, setting off several whirlwinds. The Demon Slayer sword slashed down, dispersing all of the whirlwinds. The shadow of the giant sword also disappeared. Naturally, the Grey Rock wouldn't just sit there and wait. Before the puppet could break the whirlwind, it had already attacked the puppet. With an ear-piercing sound of wind breaking, the Grey Rock suddenly appeared in front of the puppet and pressed it under its claws. The 5th-level lower-grade sword cultivator puppet had just been refined, so it was reasonable for it to be defeated by the Grey Rock, a semi-divine beast with a higher cultivation. It could use the Silver Light Escape to avoid the Grey Rock's surprise attack, and then use the Demon-Resisting Sword Bell to resist the Grey Rock's feathers. This performance had reached the level of a 5th-level lower-grade puppet. Wang Daoyuan engraved the 2 words Xian Bing on its back. Wang Daoyuan didn't need to control this puppet, so he simply let the Grey Rock slowly train it. Wang Daoyuan returned to his cave residence and continued to refine the next 5th-level lower-grade puppet. There were still a few demon beast souls sent by Zhou Wan, and he had the experience of several failures and 1 success. The second puppet didn't have many twists and turns. It took him half a year to completely refine it. Wang Daoyuan also released this puppet and let the Grey Rock slowly train it. Now there was no need to rush to refine the 3rd 5th-level puppet. Refining 2 5th-level lower-grade puppets was enough. It wouldn't be too late to refine puppets after his refining and formation skills were upgraded to the 5th-level middle grade. After all, Beiyuan Xiuxin didn't have any 5th-level refining materials for the time being. The 5th-level refining materials used now were all accumulated before. He needed to use these 2 puppets to explore the Mirage Fog Sea. 2 was enough. Any more wouldn't be of much use. After these two puppets were refined, Wang Daoyuan left South Serene Mountain and came to Guiyan City Square. Now this place could no longer be called a city square. It should be called Guiyan City. Ever since the half-demons submitted, they began to build city walls here. Once the demon beasts attacked in large numbers, they could use Guiyan City to temporarily hold back the demon beasts. This was to prevent these beasts from directly running to the South Mountain and harming the core territory of the Wang family. The current Guiyan City was the county city of Guiyan County. The entire city wasn't big, only 30 square miles. The original Guiyan City Square was mostly in the city. The structure of the buildings didn't change much, but the management was stricter. Wang Daoyuan came to the Shanbei branch. The current hall master was Wang Daojian. However, the grade of the spirit veins in Guiyan City was too low. Even with the recovery of spirit qi, the spirit veins here had only been upgraded to middle grade level 3. As the stepping stone for the Wang family to enter the upper echelons of blood shadow, Wang Daojian needed to increase his cultivation as soon as possible. Naturally, he wouldn't stay here forever. The ones in charge here were Wang Daoyuan's clone, Fang Hu, and a Wang family Zifu realm cultivator from the Five Elements Mystic Realm. This cultivator was called Wang Dekong. He was the great-grandson of Wang Shoufeng. His talent could only be considered above average, but he had some expertise and intelligence. The family focused on nurturing him. After his cultivation reached the 8th level of foundation establishment, they let him join the Blood Shadow Mountain North Branch. Wang Daoyuan came to Zhou Wan's cave abode and waited for Fang Hu and Yao Long to come over. Both of them were early-stage golden core cultivators. They didn't have anything to show for the 4 alchemy, artifacts, and talisman arrays. In the past they wanted to guard the Shanbei and Qingli branches. Now, Blood Shadow's headquarters had tacitly agreed that these 2 branches belonged to the Wang family. With the Wang family's current strength, no one dared to touch these 2 branches. There was no reason to keep them. After greeting Wang Dekong, he put away these 2 clones and took out his subsouls. He couldn't let go of their physical bodies either. Without their subsouls, they would become muddle-headed. It would be a pity to kill these 2 free laborers. It would be good to nurture them and let them do some simple work in the space of the Spirit Pearl. After dealing with the 2 useless clones, he returned to Mount Serene. Gray Peng was still training the 2 clones. Wang Daoyuan was also cultivating in the cave abode. Half a year later, Gray Peng was almost done training the 2 puppets. The combat power of the 2 puppets was stronger than ordinary mid-stage 5th stage cultivators. Even if they encountered a low-stage 5th stage divine beast, they would have the upper hand. He fused his subsouls into the sword puppets Xianbing and Xianding to refine them into clones. He had already made all the necessary preparations. He left Gray Peng's clone to look after Mount Serene. Yun Yi and Wang Minglong couldn't help, so he simply didn't bring them along. Wang Daoyuan walked out of the cave abode and told Wang Minglong and Yun Yi, "I'll be out for a few days. You 2 be obedient and don't cause trouble for me." They nodded obediently, indicating that they would definitely not cause trouble. Wang Daoyuan once again entered the cave and headed for the Zijin River Valley. A few days later, he appeared at the mouth of the Zijin River. He took Xianbing and Xianding out of the space of the Spirit Pearl and let them explore the Mirage Fog Sea. The 2 sword puppets sat on the low-stage 5th stage flying boat and flew towards the east. Soon they merged into the vast fog. He activated his panoramic perception to see what was in this Mirage Fog Sea. In this fog, the detection method of the puppets was more reliable than a person's divine sense. Wang Daoyuan used the heaven-peering secret technique and could only detect about 100 miles. The compass of the sword puppets could detect 600 to 700 miles away. After more than 10,000 miles, there was a vast fog everywhere. There was also endless seawater below. They didn't encounter any islands or demonic beasts. Chapter 860. Above the sea there was no point of reference. Even the sun, moon, and stars were covered. The 2 puppets could no longer determine the direction by themselves. If not for Wang Daoyuan's command, they would have already started running around. If Wang Daoyuan went in by himself, it would not be a problem for him to determine the direction. Yuanian cultivators were very sensitive to spirit qi and could sense the subtle changes in the flow of spirit qi. Near the sky/mountain range, spirit qi flowed from the main vein of the mountain range to other places. Therefore, as long as one followed the direction of the flow of spirit qi, one could deduce the approximate direction. Cultivators below the Yuanian level would find it difficult to sense such subtle changes. Once they entered the Mirage Fog Sea, they could only run around like headless flies. Back then, the 10,000 Corpse Taoist master relied on his demonic beast avatar and luck to break through the Mirage Fog Sea. Those who could escape from the mouth of the Thousand River to the Purple Gold River Valley were all very lucky. The two puppets carried many spirit-gathering pearls and rode on a flying boat. They did not have to worry about spirit chi consumption for a short period of time. They continued to go east until they were more than 30,000 kilometers away from the mouth of the river. Xianbing and Xianding found a small island with a radius of more than 10 kilometers. Wang Daoyuan did not care about losing the puppets. He let Xianbing land on the island to investigate the situation. Xianbing came to the center of the island and activated the compass on his head with all his strength. The surrounding situation was quickly displayed on the compass. Wang Daoyuan was still in the state of panoramic perception. He checked the situation on the island through the compass. The entire island was in ruins. It was obvious that there used to be a large building here. Moreover, there was a fourth-grade low-grade spirit vein on the island. The compass was still not clear enough. It could only see big things but not tool patterns. If he relied on his divine sense, the puppet's divine sense would be no different from nothing in this fog. Wang Daoyuan could not be sure if there were tool patterns or array patterns on these buildings. Among the ruins there were many bones of demonic beasts and humans. Xianbing stepped on some bones and turned them into ashes. There was also a dragon's horn in the pile of bones. Unfortunately, it had lost its essence and turned into ashes with a light touch. Xianbing walked around the entire island, but he didn't find any formations that could still be used. Wang Daoyuan decided to take a look himself since he couldn't detect the words with the compass. It was still hard to say where the Valley of Beasts was hidden. The range of his panoramic perception clone was only about 60,000 kilometers. This was the only small island they could see in the depths of the Mirage Fog Sea. It was unlikely that they would find the entrance to the Valley of Beasts even if they were 30,000 miles deeper. If he wanted to obtain the remaining treasures of the Valley of Beasts, he would have to enter the Mirage Fog Sea. With Wang Daoyuan's current strength, even if he didn't use Yinglong's demon-slaying sword, he would still be on par with a greater demon monarch. Furthermore, he was good at fighting many at once with his domain divine power. He could escape unscathed even if 3 to 5 greater demon monarchs attacked him. Even if there was a greater demon monarch ambush, there was nothing to be afraid of. He might even be able to capture another greater demon monarch's avatar. The demon race was a bunch of boorish people who only knew how to use force. They were nothing to be afraid of. Previously, he was worried about what the Valley of Beasts had left behind. At the location of the Purple Gold River's branch hall, there was a contingency that made people and demon beasts not dare to transcend the tribulation. There would be even more arrangements at the entrance, so Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to barge in recklessly. Now that the puppets were scouting ahead, there was nothing to be afraid of. If there was any danger, the puppets would be the first to be unlucky. He controlled the high-grade Tier 5 flying boat and flew towards the small island where the two puppets were. More than 2 hours later, the flying boat landed on the small island. The scene that Wang Daoyuan saw with his eyes and spiritual consciousness was much clearer than the puppet's compass. There were indeed many traces of array patterns on the dilapidated walls. However, these array patterns were too damaged. It was impossible to repair them. Looking at these remnant array patterns, some were Tier 5 array patterns. The other array patterns were more complicated than Tier 5 array patterns. They were at least Tier 6 array patterns. The Valley of Beasts attached great importance to this small island and had even set up a Tier 6 array formation. Wang Daoyuan used a spell to clean up the dilapidated walls and rotten bones. He also found some traces of spirit fields on the ground. Unfortunately, after so many years, the spirit fields had long been destroyed. There were no traces of spirit plants left. After all, the Valley of Beasts had been trampled flat by demon beasts. Everything that could be eaten would not be left. Wang Daoyuan searched for a long time before he found a broken stone tablet. The handwriting on it was already incomplete. Wang Daoyuan carefully identified it and found the words, Purple Gold River. This small island might be under the jurisdiction of the Purple Gold River branch hall. From the looks of it, the Valley of Beasts mountain gate was still deeper. There was nothing valuable on the entire island, so Wang Daoyuan temporarily settled down here. He ordered the two puppets to drive the flying boat and continue to head east. He stayed on this island for the time being, waiting for news from the front. After the two puppets flew more than 50,000 miles, Wang Daoyuan did not dare to continue waiting on this island, lest he lost contact with the two puppets. He rode the flying boat and followed the two puppets, maintaining a distance of 50,000 miles. The two puppets flew more than 60,000 miles again and found a new island. This island was not small, with a diameter of more than 1,000 miles. This scale was not considered a large island in the Sea of Seven Stars. However, Beiyuan Xiuxian was mainly on land. Whether it was the West Sea or the East Sea, the islands were very small. An island with a diameter of more than 1,000 miles was already a rare large island. In the middle of this island were a few mountain peaks connected together. There was a peak Tier 4 non-attributed spirit vein in the mountain. There were many dilapidated building ruins on the mountain, and shattered rocks were everywhere. There was no array formation on the island, so it had probably been completely destroyed. Wang Daoyuan set up the high-grade Tier 5 flying boat and flew towards the large island. More than 4 hours later, he arrived at this island. Most of the buildings on the entire island were concentrated on the few mountain peaks in the middle. Looking from the west, these mountain peaks looked like a tiger about to pounce. Especially in the fog, it was hard to see clearly, and the pressure was extremely strong. The terrain around the mountain peaks was relatively flat, but there were many traces of spirit fields. Unfortunately, there were only some low-grade weeds and trees left. Wang Daoyuan flew to a ruin at the foot of the mountain and carefully examined these dilapidated buildings. In the end, he found a stone tablet. This stone tablet had been divided into several pieces. After turning these pieces over and putting them together, he saw the words Valley of Beasts White Tiger Hall engraved on it. Zijinchuan was only a branch hall. This place was called White Tiger Hall, not a branch hall. The scale of the buildings on this island was indeed far superior to Zijinchuan's branch hall. It seemed that the status of this White Tiger Hall was higher than Zijinchuan's branch hall. This time Wang Daoyuan's interest was piqued. He found the true dragon body tempering technique in Zijinchuan's branch hall. White Tiger Hall's status was higher, so he might be able to find more secret manuals. After clearing the ruins, a long stone staircase appeared in front of him. This stone staircase went from the southernmost part of the mountain peaks to the highest peak. If these buildings were intact, they should be symmetrically distributed on both sides of the stone staircase. This layout was similar to Zijinchuan's. There were several courtyards, and the central axis of each courtyard was in a line. The scale of the buildings on White Tiger Hall's side was much larger than Zijinchuan's. The ruins had been cleared, and there were no traces of secret rooms on the ground of these buildings. He walked up the stone staircase all the way to the top. There was a platform that was more than 300 feet long and more than 100 feet wide. There were traces of walls and pillars on it. It seemed that it used to be a hall. This was already the core building of White Tiger Hall. Whether there was anything good or not, it all depended on this. Wang Daoyuan released the dust-returning flame and burned the foundation directly. Without the protection of the formation, no matter how strong the materials were, they would not be able to withstand the burning of the dust-returning flame. After a few dozen breaths, the entire foundation turned into a pit that was more than 10 feet deep. In the center of the pit, a 3-foot square hole was exposed. Chapter 861. Seeing this cave, Wang Daoyuan's interest was piqued. Previously at the Zijin River branch, the inheritances and other items were placed in an underground secret room. This could be where the White Tiger Hall stored their inheritances. This kind of place would definitely have a backup plan. Previously at the Zijin River branch, Long Yuntian hid in the place where the inheritances were stored. Wang Daoyuan naturally did not dare to go in easily. Instead, he sent the 2 sword puppets Xianbing and Xianding down. The Valley of Beasts had been destroyed for more than 50,000 years. Even if there was anything left, it could only be puppets, refined corpses, and the like. The strength of these things would also be limited by the spirit energy. Beiyuan Xiuxian had just reappeared with level 5 spirit energy. The spirit energy on this island had not recovered to level 5 yet. Even if there was a backup plan, it was very likely that it had not recovered to level 5. Even if it had a good foundation, it might have the strength of a beginner Yuanying. With this bit of strength, it would be difficult for it to cause any trouble in front of 2 level 5 lower grade sword puppets. Wang Daoyuan also sent Liao Yang's clone down. With just 2 puppets, they would not be able to find the slightest trace. It was better to have a living clone to investigate the situation. The 3 clones went down the cave and found that there was a huge stone room below. The layout of this stone room was similar to the underground stone room at the Zijin River branch. However, the scale of this stone room was much larger. There were dozens of bookshelves in the stone room. There were also shelves for artifacts, pills, and other items. Every shelf was made of spirit wood. Even now, they were all at the peak of level 4. Unfortunately, these shelves were empty. There was not even a jade scroll left. The 3 doppelgangers searched the entire underground stone room, but they didn't find anything of value. In the corner of the large stone room, there was an unlocked stone door. Xian Bing and Liao Yang walked over and opened the stone door. They found the control center of the formation inside. The formation core had already collapsed, and the formation patterns outside were all destroyed. Even if the control center was still there, it was of no value. Wang Daoyuan really wanted to flip this mountain over. After spending so much effort, there was nothing at all. To think that he had been so careful. He personally entered the cave and checked it carefully. However, he did not find anything. There might be some hidden compartments in this kind of place, but he was too lazy to slowly investigate. Once again he released the returning dust flame and burned all the rocks in the cave. Soon a hole appeared in the ground. Wang Daoyuan still didn't go down easily. He let the 3 doppelgangers go first. There wasn't any stone room or anything like that at the bottom of the cave. There wasn't anything stored here, but it was an escape tunnel. The underground cave where the inheritance was stored was not damaged at all. The bookshelves and the like were all intact. The demonic beasts definitely couldn't reach here. Furthermore, there were no inheritances, artifacts, or other items left in this place. This meant that the disciples of the Valley of Beasts of White Tiger Hall had calmly retreated. The cave below could lead to the entrance of the Valley of Beasts, or somewhere far away from White Tiger Hall. The clone continued to walk down the passageway. After walking for more than 10,000 miles, the passageway finally came to an end. Wang Daoyuan also felt a little emotional. The person who dug the tunnel was really bored. Even if he had the dust-returning flame, a divine tool for digging tunnels, he didn't have the heart to dig such a long tunnel. The exit was another small island with a radius of more than 20 miles. There were very few buildings and most of them had been destroyed. Wang Daoyuan was still at White Tiger Hall. He sensed the location of his doppelgangers and confirmed that the island was more than 10,000 miles east of White Tiger Hall. He directly took the flying boat and flew toward the small island. Along the way he encountered a few small islands. Most of them had some buildings, but they were all destroyed. He also checked around, but he didn't find anything valuable. When he arrived at the island where the puppet was, he let the puppet explore the east again. He continued to follow behind the puppet. When they encountered smaller islands, the puppet didn't stop and continued to search the east. Wang Daoyuan stayed behind to check these islands. He wanted to find some clues. On the first few islands he found the words White Tiger Hall. After flying for 20,000 miles, he encountered another island. There were no words White Tiger Hall, but Valley of Beasts. Wang Daoyuan had some guesses in his heart. The islands that he passed by before either had the words Zi Jinchuan or White Tiger Hall. These islands should be under the jurisdiction of Zi Jinchuan and White Tiger Hall. Here it was written Valley of Beasts. It should be the headquarters of the Valley of Beasts. Sure enough, the puppet continued to fly east for more than 30,000 miles. A huge island appeared in front of him. The 2 puppets' detection range was too small. They couldn't determine how big this island was. Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to let the 2 puppets go deep. He quickly rushed over. When he arrived at this big island, he didn't directly go deep. Instead, he explored along the coast. The flying boat circled the coast for 4 hours, but he couldn't make a circle. With clouds and mist blocking, his divine sense couldn't explore too far. It was really hard to say how big this island was. There were some dilapidated buildings on the coast of the island, but the scale was not big. He didn't find any remnants of words. However, the concentration of spirit energy in this island was not low. It was already at the level of low-grade level 5. It was not much lower than the sky/mountain range. The territory was big enough and the grade of the spirit vein was high enough. If the Valley of Beasts wanted to choose a headquarters, this was the best choice. Who knew how long it would take for Wang Daoyuan and a few of his clones to explore such a large place? He took the Wasp King out of the space in the Spirit Pearl and released a few ordinary soul-chasing bees. Will your connection with the other soul-chasing bees be affected by this fog? The Wasp King replied, the other soul-chasing bees are my children. The connection between me and them is a bloodline connection. It has nothing to do with divine sense. In this fog it won't be affected at all. It's just that they rely on smell to detect spiritual items. In this fog they will also be affected. Wang Daoyuan released tens of thousands of low-grade level 3 soul-chasing bees from the space in the Spirit Pearl and said to the Wasp King, order them to explore the situation on this island. Once they encounter demonic beasts, formations, rank 4 spiritual plants and large-scale buildings, report immediately. If they encounter ruins of buildings more than 10 miles in radius, report as well. It doesn't matter if the exploration distance is affected. With so many soul-chasing bees, they can always turn this island upside down. The Wasp King received the order and immediately ordered the other soul-chasing bees. After more than 10 breaths, these soul-chasing bees scattered. In less than half a cup of tea's time, the soul-chasing bees began to report their findings to the Wasp King. At first, they only found rank 4 spiritual plants. This was not surprising. It would be strange if there were no rank 4 spiritual plants on such a big island with a high-grade spirit vein. Wang Daoyuan planned to find the inheritance first and put the rank 4 spiritual plants aside for the time being. After a quarter of an hour, the soul-chasing bees began to report that they found ruins of buildings with a radius of 10 to 20 miles. The Yen Kingdom had just been established, and the capital was 50 square miles. Beiyuan Xiaoxin had declined so much that the capital of some small countries was dozens of miles in radius. When the Valley of Beasts was still there, Beiyuan Xiaoxin still had a rank 7 spirit vein. At that time it was much more prosperous than now. The Valley of Beasts was such a big force and its core area could not be so small. Wang Daoyuan was not moved and continued to wait for the news of the other soul-chasing bees. Soon the Wasp King's expression changed. "Master, a few children were killed in the northeast. They were killed instantly. They didn't have time to send back any news, so I can't be sure what happened to them." The Valley of Beasts' strongest method was to tame spirit beasts. There was only a branch at 10,000 Dragon Mountain, but there were a large number of dragon species left behind. There were also many divine beast bloodlines at the headquarters. No one had cared for them for tens of thousands of years, and they had long become kings. Wang Daoyuan took out the flying boat and brought the Wasp King and the 2 sword puppets to the place where the soul-chasing bees died. Chapter 862. Along the way, the soul-chasing bees had explored everything. Except for the place where the soul-chasing bees died, there was no trace of the enemy. This fog brought great trouble to Wang Daoyuan's exploration, but it also provided him with excellent cover. He was probably in the southwest of the island. He went all the way to the northeast and soon came to the place where the soul-chasing bees died. There was a mountain range more than 40,000 feet high here, but it was unknown how long it was. Wang Daoyuan's divine sense could only explore the situation within 100 miles. And the puppets could only explore the situation within 500 miles. The length of this mountain range was obviously more than 1,000 miles. The 2 sword puppets pushed the compass to the extreme, but they couldn't detect any traces of living creatures. Wang Daoyuan activated his divine power domain, covering a radius of 600 miles. Unfortunately, his divine power domain was not strong enough. Although it could ignore the clouds and mist in this range, the mountain range in front of him and the underground rock formation still couldn't be penetrated. After using the divine power domain to explore for a long time, he still couldn't find anything like a demonic beast. Unfortunately, he didn't bring Dahe. After breaking through to Tier 4, his sense of smell had also improved greatly. Nothing within 3,000 miles could escape from his nose. If the demonic beasts didn't show up, he couldn't do anything. Now he was sure that there was something powerful on this island. Although Wang Daoyuan was very confident in his strength, it was easy to dodge an open spear but hard to guard against a hidden arrow. If he didn't catch these rats hiding in the dark, he didn't dare to rashly go deep. Although it was not a problem to deal with several great demon kings at the same time by relying on the divine power domain. But if 5 or 6 great demon kings came out, he wouldn't even know how he died. Even if 20 or 30 Tier 5 low-grade demonic beasts came out, it would be enough for him to suffer. The enemy was in the dark and he was in the light. This was too disadvantageous. He put away the flying boat and the 2 puppets, put on the black magic robe and hid his figure. He still carried the Wasp King with him to control the whereabouts of the soul-chasing bees. More than an hour later, the Wasp King said, "Master, my children found a large area of ruins more than 10,000 miles to the northeast. These ruins are in a valley, and the area is very large, covering an area of 300 miles. There are defensive formations in some parts of the ruins. A few more children were killed near the ruins." After receiving this information, Wang Daoyuan felt more confident. This place should be where the mountain gate of the Valley of Beasts was located. After all, it was called the Valley of Beasts, so it had to have something to do with the valley. Such a large scale was in line with the standard of a large force. Wang Daoyuan was overjoyed that there were still some formations in the ruins. The more central a sect was, the more powerful the defensive formation would be. When facing an external attack, it was also the easiest to preserve. To a force, the most important place was the treasury and the place where the inheritance was stored. The places protected by formations in the ruins were most likely these two. However, Wang Daoyuan did not dare to go there rashly. There was a formation there, and it was possible that the Valley of Beasts had left something behind. A few more soul-chasing bees were killed near the ruins, indicating that there was more than one wave of hidden enemies. It was unknown what the relationship between this group of enemies and the Valley of Beasts was. If they were not in cahoots with the Valley of Beasts, it would be easy to handle. If they were in cahoots with the Valley of Beasts, he might be surrounded and beaten up if he went there rashly. Moreover, Wang Daoyuan could now be sure that nothing had happened in the Yen Kingdom. Although this place was very far from the Yen Kingdom and he could not perceive the situation of the clone there, he could still perceive the general situation of the clone. If the clone died or was seriously injured, Wang Daoyuan could still sense it. If there was neither, it meant that the other side was safe. He was not in a hurry to go back, so he took his time here. After clearing the periphery, he went to explore the ruins with the formation. Bee King, let those soul-chasing bees retreat. Now that we know where the target is, there is no need to fly around lest we lose too many. The Bee King obeyed and ordered all the soul-chasing bees to return. An hour later, all the soul-chasing bees flew back. Wang Daoyuan kept most of the soul-chasing bees in the space of the spiritual pearl, leaving only 100 or so to search around the mountain range. He wanted to see if the guy hiding in the dark could hold back. The soul-chasing bees searched nearby. When they encountered caves, rock crevices and other things, they would burrow in to investigate. No matter how good the opponent was at hiding, they could always find clues. Wang Daoyuan continued to wait here. In a competition of patience, how could he lose to a few demon beasts? Unless the demonic beast was a tortoise, it wouldn't be able to hold on for long. After waiting here for a day, the demon hiding in the dark finally could not take it anymore. The Bee King sent a voice transmission. Master, more than 150 kilometers to the east, one of my children was killed. Wang Daoyuan immediately activated his divine power domain. At the same time, he used the sky-piercing sword escape and turned into a silver light, flying towards the east. The moment the divine power was activated, the target was locked on. This was not a demon beast, but an inferior grade tier 5 refined corpse. This refined corpse looked a little strange. It looked like a wolf, but it had wings. Since it was already a refined corpse, he could only use the methods of refining corpses. There was no point in dwelling on its bloodline. Although this guy had wings after becoming a refined corpse, its speed was far from when it was alive. The silver light that Wang Daoyuan turned into quickly caught up. When he got close, he wanted to use these clouds to condense the Gui water divine thunder. But he did not expect these clouds to be difficult to control. It seemed that the area around the Valley of Beasts was really a little strange. Wang Daoyuan could only use his spiritual power to condense an almost transparent water ball. After the water ball left his hand, it caught up with the refined corpse at an extremely fast speed. The refined corpse's consciousness was extremely weak and did not notice that the water ball had directly merged into its body. After a moment, it fell to the ground, completely losing the ability to move. The core of the refined corpse, the corpse core, had already been shattered by the Gui water divine thunder. A refined corpse without a corpse core was like a Yuanying cultivator without a Yuanying, only an empty shell was left. Wang Daoyuan was very satisfied with the power of the Gui water divine thunder. As expected of the 5 elements divine thunder, it did not consume too much spiritual power to finish off an inferior grade tier 5 refined corpse. Naturally refined corpses were extremely rare and could only be formed in a place with naturalene energy. Obviously there was no such terrain nearby. Since there was a refined corpse, there was a 99% chance that it was specially refined by someone. This refined corpse should be one of the backup plans left behind by the Valley of Beasts. After finishing off this refined corpse, Wang Daoyuan did not destroy the flying wolf refined corpse. Instead, he hid himself again and found a new place nearby to continue waiting. If this refined corpse had an owner and he killed one, there would definitely be people coming to investigate. It wasn't a bad choice to wait here for the rabbit. Indeed, after he finished off the flying wolf refined corpse, another refined corpse flew over. This refined corpse was in the form of a human and had a mid-grade tier 5 cultivation. He went to the place where the flying wolf refined corpse was killed and checked it out. With a hoarse voice he said, "Tier 5 Gui water divine thunder. Could it be that the successor of the 5 Thunder Supreme God has arrived? Which Daoyu has come to visit the Valley of Beasts? Please show yourself." The refined corpse that the disciple of the Valley of Beasts had turned into was another 50,000-year-old dumpling. Since they could communicate, it was fine to ask for information. Human Junior Cultivator Wang Daoyuan of the treasured tripod lineage of the Divine Weapon Pavilion greets Senior. The refined corpse looked at Wang Daoyuan. Treasured tripod lineage of the Divine Weapon Pavilion. When I was still alive, I had some relations with Divine Lord Golden Cauldron of the treasured tripod lineage. Meeting you this time can be considered as meeting a junior. After I turned into a refined corpse, I am not very sensitive to the passage of time. How many years have passed? Divine Lord Golden Cauldron was indeed one of the ancestors of the treasured tripod lineage. He was a figure from more than 50,000 years ago. Senior, it has been more than 50,000 years since Ancestor Golden Cauldron passed away. Chapter 863. Before he finished speaking, the refined corpse suddenly exploded and charged at Wang Daoyuan. He quickly turned into a silver light and dodged the refined corpse's attack. Senior, why did you sneak attack me? The refined corpse snorted. I am close friends with the Golden Cauldron spiritual master. I know the treasured cauldron's legacy. Even if there were changes in the past tens of thousands of years, the roots are still the same. There are always similarities. And your aura has nothing to do with the treasured cauldron spiritual master. How dare you lie to me? Your sword technique should be the Tai Sword Sect's Silver Light Escape. The Tai Sword Sect is also a top force and has no grudges with the Valley of Beasts. If you came as a disciple of the Tai Sword Sect, the Valley of Beasts would have treated you well. But you lied to me. You must be up to no good. Judging from his judgment and attack speed, this refined corpse's ability was not weak. Senior, you misunderstand. My master, the Thunder Flame Spiritual Master, is the leader of the Treasured Cauldron Spiritual Master. Because he has the Purple Thunder Divine Flame Battle Body, and I am a Penta-Spiritual Root Cultivator. Our techniques are not compatible. And I already have a suitable technique of all 5 elements. He only took me in as a disciple in name. His disciple is my younger brother, who also has the Purple Thunder Divine Flame Battle Body. Plus, the legacy doesn't mean anything. After he finished speaking, his left hand turned into a dragon claw. He smiled and said, Senior, what do you think of my true dragon physical conditioning technique? A smile appeared on the refined corpse's stiff face. Although you have only cultivated a part of the true dragon physical conditioning technique, it is indeed the legacy of the Valley of Beasts. Could it be that there are still branches of the Valley of Beasts left in this world? Wang Daoyuan shook his head. 50,000 years ago the demon beasts wreaked havoc. All the branches of the Valley of Beasts were destroyed. After the 4 major forces quelled the demon race, there were no more forces that used the Valley of Beasts as their banner. There were quite a few forces that learned a little bit of the Valley of Beasts legacy. These forces' legacies are very ordinary and there are only a few that exist. For example, the Thousand Spirits sect focuses on beast taming. I also once obtained the beast taming inheritance of the Thousand Spirits sect, which is exactly the same as the inheritance of the Valley of Beasts. It was just that the Thousand Spirits sect's cultivation method was not very good. Their inheritance should have been an incomplete copy of the Valley of Beasts. In addition, there was also the royal family of the Zhou nation who possessed the Phoenix bloodline. I heard that it has something to do with the Valley of the Beast. The core technique is the Phoenix Nirvana technique. I wonder if it has anything to do with the Valley of the Beasts? Hearing this, refined corpse nodded. The Phoenix Nirvana technique is one of the core inheritances of the Valley of Beasts. The ancestors of the Zhou family should be from the Vermilion Bird Hall in the Valley of Beasts. To be able to preserve the core inheritance means that the Valley of Beasts is still alive. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan finally found a way to get close to him. In that case we can be considered a family. My Dao companion is from a branch family of the Zhou clan. My son has even awakened the Vermilion Bird bloodline. The cultivation technique he cultivates is also derived from the Phoenix Nirvana technique. At this moment, Wang Daoyuan thought of Long Yuntian's request. If not for Long Yuntian, his master would not have been able to form his nascent soul. He was afraid that during the last demon riot, the human race would have been wiped out. He took out a golden book and a token. Senior, may I ask if you are an elder or a sect leader of the Valley of Beasts? Refined corpse nodded. I am indeed an elder of the Valley of Beasts. Back then, I was also a soul formation cultivator. In order to resist the demon beasts, I turned into a refined corpse. Wang Daoyuan passed the golden book and token to him. In that case I have completed my task. I met Long Yuntian at the Purple Gold River branch. In order to resist the demon beasts, he refined himself into a living corpse. When I met him, his soul had already dissipated. Only a wisp of his will was left. This golden book contains the whole story of the invasion of the Purple Gold River branch. Before he died, he asked me to pass it to the elders or sect leaders of the Valley of Beasts. In addition, he asked me to pass on a few words to you. He said, I, Long Yuntian, have guarded the Purple Gold River branch and have never lost. I, Long Yuntian, have not let down the sect leader. When Refined Corpse heard this, he actually let out a few cries. Unfortunately, there were no tears. Junior brother Yuntian was extremely talented. It was only a matter of time before he broke through to the soul formation realm. At that time, the sect leader had already planned to transfer him back to the sect, help him break through to the soul formation realm, and pass on the position of sect leader to him. Unfortunately, he met with great chaos. Such a genius actually fell just like that. How is he now? Wang Daoyuan did not hide anything. More than 100 years ago, I went to the Purple Gold River to look for opportunities and found the Purple Gold River branch. I fought with Senior Long Yuntian and defeated him. Senior Long Yuntian knew that he could not escape death, so he asked me to pass these things to the sect leader or elders of the Valley of Beasts. He also asked me to scatter his ashes in the Purple Gold River. He wanted to follow the river back to the sect of the Valley of Beasts. Hearing this, Refined Corpse's face revealed anger. He wanted to attack, but he did not. After a long time, he sighed. Forget it. Junior brother Yuntian entrusted these things to you. It can be considered that he was sincerely convinced by you. His soul is no longer there, only a trace of obsession left. You killed him and helped him to be free. Rather than living like a ghost, it would be better to die and be done with it. I won't say much about this matter. I just want to ask, how are the demon beasts outside now? Wang Daoyuan replied, what happened 50,000 years ago did not affect the west of the Heavenly/Mountain Range much. It's just that the branches in the Valley of Beasts are gone. More than 10,000 years ago, the Heavenly/Mountain Range degenerated into a peak Tier 4 spirit vein. The human race no longer had Yuanian cultivators and was also suppressed by the demon race. Before the spiritual energy density recovered, the Tier 5 demon race that was sleeping back then woke up again. I also killed a few. Previously, I even killed a peak Tier 5 demon king. The remaining 2 demon kings came to the human race to ask for peace. We were not confident of winning, so we agreed first. The human race's cultivation speed is fast. In a few hundred years, we will be able to suppress the demon race. Now, the Yen Kingdom that I founded has replaced the Valley of Beasts and is guarding the Heavenly/Mountain Range and the East Sea demon race for the human race. By the way, Senior, the demon race has been suppressed by the human race for 10,000 years. The Valley of Beasts should be much stronger than the Divine Weapon Pavilion and other forces. How was it destroyed by the demon race? This was not a compliment. The inheritance and scale of the Valley of Beasts were indeed above the other 4 top forces. Refined Corpse nodded. You are young. Without a Tier 5 spirit vein, it is already a miracle that you can cultivate to the late Yuaniing stage and take down peak Tier 5 demon beasts. Guarding the Heavenly/Mountain Range for the human race and also obtain part of the Valley of Beasts inheritance. You can be considered the successor of the Valley of Beast. These things are nothing. There's no harm in telling you. More than 50,000 years ago, there were no Mahayana cultivators in Beiyuan Xiuxian. The concentration of spirit chi had also dropped to the peak of Tier 6. In the depths of the Heavenly/Mountain Range, an evil dragon obtained some kind of opportunity and passed the heavenly tribulation of dragon transformation. At the same time, its cultivation broke through to Tier 7. With its strength, the human race in Beiyuan was in danger of being exterminated. The responsibility of the Valley of Beasts is to guard the Heavenly/Mountain Range and the East Sea and suppress the demon race. Naturally, we could not stand by and watch such a thing happen. The sect master led most of the experts in the sect and wanted to kill it before its cultivation stabilized. The sect master also found the evil dragon. After a great battle, the evil dragon escaped with injuries and went into hiding. A few hundred years later, the evil dragon led a large number of demon beasts to besiege the Valley of Beasts. The azure dragon, vermilion bird, white tiger and black tortoise halls guarding the mountain gate were all lost. They had no choice but to retreat to the mountain gate. I was the black tortoise hall master at that time. 80% of my disciples died in battle and the defensive array was completely broken. I only brought the participating disciples and the inheritance of the black tortoise hall back to the mountain gate. The evil dragon did not give up. It led many demon beasts to attack the mountain gate of the Valley of Beasts. At that time, the sect master and the elders used a secret technique to kill this demon. They activated the peak Tier 7 Dharma artifact guarding the mountain gate and killed the evil dragon. The sect master and the other elders have all passed away. Wang Daoyuan landed on the ground and bowed. I can be considered the leader of the human race today. On behalf of the human race in Beiyuan, I thank the ancestors of the Valley of Beasts for protecting the human race. That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.